Good morning, bonjour, good morgen, indinami, memamwache. Welcome to the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi. For this Tuesday edition is the 3rd of September 2024. Now this morning, we'll start by serving you the AM News, the first news bulletin on the Joy News channel, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. And then we get into our news review segment. Today, we'll be joined by Kojo Poku, who is an energy analyst, and Dr. Wisdom Dogbe, a financial analyst. I like it when both of these gentlemen help us to review the news stories. So I'm looking forward to that. Muftan Abila Abdullah will come next with AM Sports, bring you the latest chronicles from the world of sports. And then our big stories will come your way. This morning, we're looking at some of the demands that the NDC are making. They are asking for a forensic audit and re-exhibition of the voters' register. And they say these demands are non-negotiable, as the EC admits to mistakes that has blotted the electoral register, but insists that these are errors that are common with such exercises, and they will not be the first nor the last. So we're asking you, are the measures put forth by the EC sufficient to deal with the concerns and repose confidence in political parties with free, fair and transparent elections? It is election year. We are your election headquarters, so we're bringing you the nitty-gritty of everything happening in and around or leading to election 2024 in December. Also today, we'll take you to Ajen Kotoku, where 3 years on, after being relocated from Agbogloshi, onion sellers continue to face significant challenges, making them worse off than before. We brought you that special feature sometime last month on how Agbogloshi is still a scrapyard, and this is a continuation. So we did an assessment of how these traders are faring in Ajen Kotoku. And later on, you get to have your say because we open the phone lines. But for now, you can join the conversation via social media across all media platforms. It's Joy News on TV. Hashtag the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi. It is my absolute pleasure to drive you for the 4 hours package of the show. Join me. Let's start with the AM News now. Welcome to the program. This is the AM News. Details now. The minority on the Works and Housing Committee in Parliament is calling for the removal of the Lands Minister and his deputies over their failure to protect the country's water bodies and rivers from illegal mining. Currently, Ghana Water Company's production level has dropped from 70% to 40% nationwide due to illegal mining activities. But ranking member on the Works and Housing Committee, Vincent Opong-Asamoah, says the country will begin to witness the desired results when the sector ministers are sacked by the president.
It falls directly under his ministry. This Galamsey issues, the mining issue falls under him. And you know, there's a deputy who is in charge of those areas, Mikuduka. In his own hometown, where his constituency is not spared. And it looks as if there's a huge institution at the Jubilee House that supervises this illegal act.
Some will argue that firing the land minister is not the way to go.
It needs to be a bit hard. Firing, the worst thing that anyone can suffer is a minister losing his job as a minister because of the fact that he couldn't perform. And this is a very, very sensitive issue. So if you have ministers, like 2 deputy ministers in charge of lands and forestry, and they cannot protect our mineral bodies, the best punishment you can give to them is to sack them. And whoever comes to you, give him what the presidency intends to see, so far as that area is concerned. But within the 3 months, I can bet you nothing is going to happen because we are getting into elections.
Five communities in the Hanta West municipality of the Western region have long suffered from the devastating effects of illegal mining, which has rendered their once clean rivers and streams unsafe. Thanks to the efforts of Amaja Tabula Services Limited, these communities can now heave a sigh of relief. The provision of mechanized boreholes is bringing back safe and clean water, offering renewed hope to the people who've endured these challenges for so long. Correspondent in Athalia has visited these communities and now reports.
Illegal mining continues to wreak havoc on water sources across the nation for the people of Hotopo, Ehukrom, Fasen, Azane, and Eyinase. This has meant losing their lifeline, their rivers and streams. Residents were left with no option but to use water contaminated by toxic chemicals from mining activities.
So that is on use no ade. Yenu nsu biala wa ha. Ono anu yenum yede hulade yede yen bibiala. Because of that, na nsu no yede no naughty. No na ni yefe, but galamse fu no be no. No be say no. Nti still ono anu yenu nsu biala wa ade ya ye use. Yenum nso a because of the neni ni nyeni nti. Oma sometimes yenum ya yare. Ma fama no nso nyina ka wona yede ye. Nti se yede ya besawe. Yede kwesiwo. Ada neni nili ye kakran sana ye tumanum. And the de yakoto insu. Insu so yako 50 pesos.
At the Hotopo Chips compound, the local clinic struggles to operate efficiently due to lack of clean water, placing even more lives at risk. Joseph Apiakubi heads the Chips compound. He explains how the situation was.
Yes, actually it was difficult. We need to walk very far distance to the community before we could get water for our activities. We do not have any water around. Waterborne diseases are very, very rampant and very common within this community because our major source of water was the stream, which the Galamsey has taken over and the whole water has gotten mad. And therefore, if you see that cholera, dysentery, and other severe waterborne diseases are some of the things that we normally experience within the community. Because if you don't bring good water, it can lead to poisoning. Because when you drink contaminated water, it can lead to other gastroenteritis conditions, which can affect the people within the community. So just as I was saying, this water will go a very long way to help us, and it will prevent the people in the community from getting some of these conditions, since we can now have access to potable water in the community.
In May 2024, Amaja Tubular Services, a joint venture of Amaja Oil Fields and Tenaris Global Services, cut sword for a life-changing project, the construction of 6 mechanized boreholes in 5 communities. Initially, the plan was to install 3 boreholes, but as the severity of the water crisis became clear, the project was expanded. Project manager Kofi Bediako shared the company's motivation.
Initially, we decided to do only 3 of these boreholes in these areas. But we realized that no, 3 might not even be enough. So we decided to double it from 3 to 6. So we did 6 boreholes in this area. We will go around in this area. We will still engage the local assembly, local people, and then try to understand their needs, try to understand what they want, try to understand what has not been provided for them, what they are deprived of. And then as a company, we will try and then assist them.
In addition to providing safer drinking water, the boreholes have brought a sense of security and dignity to daily life. Children no longer have to drink contaminated water, and women don't have to travel long distances to fetch water for household chores. For Joy News, in Athalia Kwanza, Hotopo, Western Region.
Moving on, at least 9 shops and a church have been razed by fire in Kasoa on Monday evening. This brings to 3 separate fire incidents recorded in the last 7 days. The fire, which was reported to have started in a metal container at about 5:30 p.m. at a suburb in Kasoa, swept through 8 others and a church, burning all belongings to ashes. Here's a victim who says she has lost all her belongings, including cash.
I'm the assembly member for James Motel area, and yes, part of it.
Okay. Tell us what happened.
Yes, myself, I wasn't around, yes, until not too long ago when I had information that some part of my electoral area is burning. So I have to come myself and see. And yes, I've witnessed the impact, yes, which I would say is very, very, very serious.
I learned you own a shop here. Tell me what happened.
I was at home and I had a call that our show is burning. I don't know what exactly is the plan. At the time I get to this place, it was west. We locked the shop. It was west. There's nothing we can do about it.
What do you do in that shop?
I sell drinks. It's a sport. I sell food too as well.
It's a drinking spot.
Yeah. Oh, I had a call.
You had a call.
Today is our off day, so we don't come to work today. We lost everything. Everything. I mean everything. Not even everything. We lost everything. Totally. Even our money is inside the region. We lost everything.
You mean fiscal cash?
Yes, please.
We can now listen to the account of the fire service on the incident. Alex Kingnati is communications officer of the Ghana Fire Service.
7:21, we're able to put the situation under control, meaning that it took us a bit less than an hour and a half to be able to put the situation under control and finally extinguish the fire at 8:20. Unfortunately, there was quite some damage. 9 metal containers that were used for commercial purposes, and its contents was spent. And then a church by the name of Hill Fire Church, also its contents got totally burnt as a result of the fire.
Have you established?
No, that's not something we've been able to establish right now. We are still gathering intel to be able to come up with a conclusive investigation.
Some of the affected persons who spoke to us indicated that the fire actually started at 5:30. They've called the fire service and it took you over 30 minutes to come to the scene. Is that the case?
So you see, that's where I would want you to go in or come in and ask them what number they called. You see, it becomes very unbecoming when people say they've called fire service and yet they are not able to substantiate the number they called. They always say we called fire service, and then you ask them the number, and they end up giving you different numbers. Mind you, we don't have any intelligence system here in Ghana that locates or that notifies the fire service that there's a fire somewhere. So until someone calls the number, because we've been monitoring our handsets, and once the call gets to our control room dispatches the nearest appliance within 1 minute. So please, the next time they say they called fire service, please do well to ask who called. When you ask who called, you will never find the person that said you called. Someone said I called. They'll be pointing fingers at people who are not even there and say they called.
In other stories, a former Auditor General, Daniel Yao Domelevo, has criticized the Catholic Bishops' Conference for staying silent on the rampant corruption under the Akufo-Addo administration. He stressed the urgent need for strong leadership to tackle the nation's widespread corruption. Domelevo made these remarks at the Scarface of Corruption in Ghana conference in Accra, organized by the Crusaders Against Corruption, where panelists called on Ghanaians to reject the NPP in the December elections for its bad corruption records. Carlos Caloni has more in this report.
Themed The Scarface of Corruption in Ghana, the Crusaders Against Corruption conference gathered anti-corruption advocates from various backgrounds, spotlighting numerous scandals plaguing the Akufo-Addo administration. Speakers addressed issues such as the PDA deal, the $10 million wasted on the Cocoa Rose audit, and the $4.5 million AFCON extravagance, among others. Founding NPP member Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe, speaking on the topic, assessing the Akufo-Addo administration in the fight against corruption, stated that the current NPP leadership lacks integrity.
When Akufo-Addo wanted to lead the party, I was one of his strongest supporters. A man I thought had integrity, a man I thought respects the rule of law. I felt I should give my support to him, and I did.
He further claimed that the Electoral Commission poses the biggest threat to the nation's democracy, pointing to recent voter transfers made without the consent of voters.
I am saying that at the moment, the greatest threat to our democracy is the Electoral Commission. That is the greatest threat to our democracy. And if we are not careful, they will lead this country into destruction. Mark my words. Why do I say so? How on earth can transfers be made from one particular constituency to another without the consent of the person? These are facts.
An NDC stalwart, Ekospio Gabra, speaking on political and judicial corruption, highlighted several corruption scandals under Akufo-Addo, urging the NPP to focus on stopping theft and looting rather than on breaking the eight.
Presidency has been demonstrated to be corrupt. Current presidency. Then, and we know that presidency is associated with the vice presidency. They go together. So the running mate, all that. And that's why when people say that they want to break the eight, some of us say, I said, well, it's fine for a political party to say they want to break the eight. But we are saying, why don't you break the stealing and stop the looting? You want to break the eight? Yes, fine. It's a good ambition to have from a political party point of view. But break the stealing and stop the looting. Break the stealing and stop the looting. Break the stealing and stop the looting. At least, at the minimum. That's something that you can control within your party.
On his part, a former Auditor General, Daniel Yao Domelevo, stated that the Catholic bishops have gone silent in the fight against corruption despite the glaring scandals facing the country, urging the youth to demand accountability.
When I was in Malawi, I was always citing my bishops in Ghana to say, listen to the bishop, the shepherd of the people. They are holding government accountable. All of a sudden, they are all quiet. It surprises me, as if they don't see what is happening. There are a lot of evil going on. And if they cannot speak, then who are they for? Are they for the church or they are for government? Are they for the people or they are for evil? So that's the point I am making, that I think their voice go very far. There are a lot of Catholics in this country. There are a lot of Catholics, Christians in this country. If the Christian Council, the Bishops' Conference, and all those religious bodies, including those of Muslim and Islam, they will all speak as they were speaking in the past, I think we may be moving towards peace.
The Anti-Corruption Conference also featured a panel discussion where experts stressed the urgent need for a direct and relentless fight against the growing corruption menace in the country. For Joy News, Carlos Caloni, Accra.
Incumbent New Patriotic Party Member of Parliament for Suhum constituency, Kojo Asante, popularly known as Boafo, has announced his decision to contest as an independent candidate in the December 7, 2024 general election. Boafo Kojo Asante lost the NPP parliamentary primary in January 2024 to Frank Asiedu-Bekwei, popularly known as Protozwa, with about 179 votes difference. In that parliamentary primary, Frank Asiedu-Bekwei secured 496 votes, while Kojo Asante had 320 votes out of the total valid vote cast, making Protozwa the new parliamentary candidate for the NPP in the Suhum constituency.
Supporters of Kojo Asante since January 2024 have been nurturing plans to present him in the 2024 general election as independent parliamentary candidate for the Suhum constituency, claiming that he is the preferred candidate for the masses in the constituency. Addressing his supporters after a health walk over the weekend at the Suhum Amponsa market, Honorable Kojo Asante officially declared his intention to contest as an independent parliamentary candidate, taking inspiration from the core of his constituents and the crowd that showed up at the health walk. Sources close to the NPP suggest that high-ranking new Patriotic Party officials, including the Vice President and flag bearer of the party, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and Minister of Agric, Mr. Brian Echampon, have attempted to talk to him to rescind his decision, but wouldn't avail. Kojo Asante was conspicuously missing during the campaign tour of Dr. Mahamadou Baumia in the Sohum constituency. The current MP, Kojo Asante, defeated the then Member of Parliament, Mr. Frederick Opare Ansah, in the party's 2020 parliamentary primaries, securing 394 votes, whilst Mr. Opare Ansah secured 272 votes.
They did the help. They petitioned me. And then they said that it doesn't matter what has happened. I should come and serve them. I should come and continue my work. So if you are talking about what, sort of the impetus, my voice, what is pushing me to do what I'm doing or to do this declaration, then all that I would say is that it is Sohum people. It is what? Sohum people. One person cannot say that you are going for independence. One person. Can one person go for independence? I'm asking you, can one person go for independence? One person cannot go for independence, right? Yeah, it is the base. It is what? The base. I have only one vote. I have only one vote. So I cannot stand here and say that I'm going for independence. I can only say that I'm going for independence when I know that the people really want me to go for independence. And the people want me to go for independence. That is why I came to do the declaration this morning.
He officially launched his campaign featuring his posters and t-shirts with the slogan Obuafo Tuaso, Obuafo Stay With Us, among other inscriptions. Maxwell Kudaka report for Joy News.
In the central region, the youth of Nkunsukum traditional area have kicked against the change of date for the celebration of the Odambia Festival, a festival celebrated by the chiefs and people of Saltpond. According to the youth, the change in date will impact the historical and cultural significance of the festival and affect patronage and their cultural heritage. Convener of the youth, Enes Ejiri, has been addressing the news conference after a protest march at Saltpond.
We gather today to advocate for the return of the Odambia Festival to its traditional August dates. Yes. This press conference follows a petition submitted by the concerned Nkunsukum Youth and Citizens for Development, which we all represent. Yes. Our petition challenges the recent decision to move the festival from August to October. Hello? Our primary concern is the cultural and historical disruption caused by changing the festival dates. For generations, Odambia has been celebrated in August, aligning with our traditional agricultural circles and community activities. Moving into October severs these historical connections, thereby diminishing the festival's cultural significance. We are concerned about potential reductions in participation. August is the time when many Nkunsukum people, both local and abroad, return home for the festival. Shifting the date could alienate those who plan their schedules around August, and adapting to a new date poses logistical challenges that may affect the festival's success. Ladies and gentlemen and members of the media, one reason cited for the date change is its overlap with the festival of Abiatu Dominancy traditional area. Whilst we respect neighboring traditions, we strongly disagree that this should necessitate changing our festival dates. The Odamia Festival is central to our cultural identity. And we believe we can honor both festivals with careful planning and dialogue without disrupting our own traditions. Another critical issue is the exclusion of the youth from the decision-making process. Ladies and gentlemen, the youth are essential to the future of our tradition, and their involvement is crucial. Excluding them risks creating a generational divide that could weaken our community unity.
Coming up next is Business Update. Let's get right into it. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana says the current reduction of petroleum prices at the pumps is as a result of the deregulation policy introduced in 2015. This morning, Star Oil followed Goil by dropping its prices into the 13 cedi range per litre. Diesel also has gone down by 20 pesos and it is selling at 14 cedi 70 pesos. Market watchers are linking the reduction to the slowdown in cedi's rate of depreciation and prices of crude oil stabilizing on the international markets. Duncan Namwa is Executive Secretary of COPEC.
What is happening currently is exactly what the consumer would have wished to see under the deregulated program. Fortunately, it's taking us a couple of years since we went into the deregulated pricing regime somewhere July 2015. So if you do the numbers, you are doing almost 9 years. Star Oil has been at this marketing for quite some time now. And we are not surprised that currently they are doing very well as the second largest by way of volumes locally. If you look at that strategy and the response from consumers, Pius, the indication you get is that consumers are indeed price sensitive, and indeed they would go for where they believe they get quality, where they believe they get value for money by way of prices. And so what we have seen over the months with Star Oil edging out the likes of Total, Shell onto the number 2 spot is indeed not surprising because, like I indicated earlier, consumers are indeed price sensitive and will choose where they believe they get the right quality at the right price.
The Register of Companies has vowed to continue to clean its register until all illegal entities are removed. This follows the removal of more than 600 businesses from the Register of Companies books and in June this year for failing to file their annual returns after several warnings. Speaking to Joy Business, Register of Companies Jemima Wari maintain they will not relent in ensuring their books are sanitized.
Yes, so we will continue to clean the register. We will continue to do that. It doesn't mean that is the end of it. I am just putting it out there. Initially, you used to say that I'm just talking too much and that I'm not really acting. Now we are bringing the ads down. It is not a delight to take companies off the register, but there's no point keeping a name on the register when they are not complying with the requirements under the Act. So once we take it out from next year, we will continue to clean out all companies that are not carrying on business. And if by this notice, more people want to get on the register, they should come and we'll take it off.
And that does it for Business Updates, and it's a wrap for the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show. You want to stay with us because we get into our news review segment, and Kojo Poku, energy analyst, Dr. Wisdom Dogbe, financial analyst, are joining us to review the various newspapers. In a bit, we'll be right back on your screens. Good morning again and welcome to the news review segment on the AM Show. This morning, our guest, Dr. Wisdom Dogbe, he's a financial analyst, and we will have Kojo Poku joining us later on. But we have Doc with us this morning. Doc, it's a pleasure to have you again on the AM show. Good morning.
Good morning, sweetie. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking. I hope you are too.
Doing great.
Great. So let's get into what's top of your mind this morning. There's a lot going on. It could be from the political, side, from the economy. But you tell us, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so I read a bit about Nana Kwame Bediaku's manifesto, and I must say that we need to take him seriously. He seems to make a lot of sense with some of his proposals, but I was surprised to read about his particular comments that without a machine or a factory, it is not feasible, to create 3 different shifts around one job. Like him, right? We have lived in developed countries where some of our countries our cities run on a 24-hour economy basis. And it's not only because a machine or a factory or plant is running, but also services. I think that he got that one very wrong because we have services like retail, where grocery stores and convenience stores are open in the side of town on 24-hour basis. We have food and beverage companies that run around the clock, including food delivery at even 2 a.m. Of course, we have the healthcare services, not just the emergency, but also hospitals and also pharmacies that are open for 24 hours. And we have the hospitality and also entertainment industries and fitness centers and even financial services that are open 24 hours. So I think Shada missed the boat on this one to say that 24-hour economy can only work around machines and factories. The goal of a 24-hour economy is not only to turbocharge the economy and create jobs, but it also has to prioritize convenience and accessibility to customers. And it's comments that industrialization for 24-hour economy can now work without industrialization. I think it shows very clearly that he hasn't even taken the time to read and also understand the manifesto of the NDC. You cannot jump to industrialization without the necessary factors that you need to industrialize the economy.
Right. Doc, thanks for those insightful thoughts there. Let's get straight into the newspaper. I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, plea bargaining, not immunity. The Attorney General tells Cambridge Economic Crime Summit. Cleanest Region Ranking Campaign. The Minister inaugurates a 9-member committee. NPP Wale parliamentary primary rerun. Nominations have been open for 3 days. And EC suspends officer over unsolicited voter transfer. And I think this is the biggest controversy right now. The credibility of the Electoral Commission has come under question. But let's start from what the Attorney General has been saying in the United Kingdom. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Yeboadami, has given an assurance that the new plea bargaining law, which gives some form of reprieve to persons accused of certain crimes, will not be used to protect people from accountability. And delivering a keynote address at the International Symposium on Economic Crime at the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom, Mr. Dame said plea bargaining was not about accused persons going scot-free, but ensure that such persons were also held accountable for their crimes in the interest of the society. So he says any attempt to use the law to shield accused persons from taking responsibility for their deeds would defeat the purpose of criminal laws and the entire criminal justice system. So he's basically clarifying that plea bargaining is not a shield from accountability, and rather it's a way to hold people accountable. Let's start from there. What are your thoughts?
So I think that the reputation of the AG has taken a bit of a hit, considering the way he conducted himself in the ambulance case, as alleged and also reported in the media. So it is quite challenging to take him at his words that the new plea bargaining law is not only to protect his party faithfuls who may have been involved in gross corruption, and they know that they may likely be out of office soon. So they are trying everything to protect themselves from being held accountable for their crimes in office. I, for one, when it comes to this AG, my philosophy for him is hear him out, but always verify. And I believe that a lot of Ghanaians don't believe him when it comes to this new plea bargain law either. The perception will be that it is a tool to protect certain government officials from accountability. And this can further undermine public trust in the legal system and also worsen perceptions of corruption, sweetie. A lot of folks don't trust our judicial system today and governance. So these new laws, right, it will create a perception that they are being designed to benefit the powerful at the expense of justice, regardless of what the Attorney General is saying. And guess what? If it is true that there are ulterior motives behind such a law, I think the current government's officials, those that are corrupt, they will become emboldened, to engage in more corruption because they believe they can escape consequences through plea bargains. It may encourage corrupt practices and also diminish the rule of law, in my opinion. Of course, plea bargains are good laws, right? For the most part, if the intention is right. And I think it is on the AG, right, to prove to the Ghanaian people that the intentions are right instead of just saying it. And I think you can prove that by using transparent legislative processes and also stakeholder consultations.
Right.
And establishing very clear guidelines on how the law will be applied and ensuring stakeholders of limited applicability with an exception clearly stated for political accountability. That is how the AG can promote a culture of integrity, especially around this law, starting from himself and also his outfit.
There's a lot of damage control, I think, that not just the judiciary, but I mean, the other arms of government need to do. There's that story. I'll find it in a bit. Mistrust in the Electoral Commission and our parliamentarians, looking at the water crisis that we are facing in the country due to galamsey activities. And you're asking yourself, so our leaders who've been put in that position of power, entrusted with this country to protect us, take the difficult decisions to protect this country, not just for us right now in the present, but for future generations. What are they really doing? So I get your point, and I'm just saying that it reflects on the other arms of government. It's not just the AG now, it's all the arms of government, everyone in a position of power. The citizens have gradually or are gradually losing trust in their ability to make the difficult decisions in the interest of this nation. But let's do
The AG is the top law enforcement officer of the land.
Right.
It can start with him, right? All of these, if you talk to the Ghanaian people, the folks that have been following the ambulance case and other cases that the AG has been pursuing in court, I think that they have lost trust because of some of his conduct and the conduct of people from his outfit. So I think it can start from him. He's the nation's top law enforcement officer.
True. Let's do some other stories. And in Nigeria, there's some military, incitation going over there. Nigeria charges protesters with treason, inciting military. So Nigeria has charged 10 people with treason and conspiring to incite the military to mutiny, following last month's nationwide demonstrations that saw thousands take to the streets to protest against the cost of living crisis. And the protests were met with a deadly crackdown by security forces. And Amnesty International said at least 13 people were killed. Security forces denied using lethal force. The 10 men were arraigned in an Abuja Federal High Court and entered a not guilty plea. They face the death penalty if convicted, human rights lawyer Inimbehe Efiong said. And the state prosecutor said in a court paper seen by Reuters that protesters intended to destabilize Nigeria and, quote, conspired to commit felony, to wit, treason. I don't know what you make of this, but if, first of all, the citizens can mass up to protest against the cost of living crisis in Nigeria, and then on the back of that, the president is bold enough to buy a new jet, a private plane or jet, and then we see, this happening, mutiny, talks about coups here and there. What is happening in Nigeria, Doc?
I think it's a very saddening situation. First of all, the people have a right to protest, right? And folks they are protesting over the rising cost of living in the country. You don't expect them to just sit down and suck it in, right? Nigeria is very rich when it comes to oil and other natural resources. But it seems that we keep hearing about, high levels of hardship when it comes to majority of the population over there. So I think and I hope that the strike actually got some traction and people got to hear them. I don't believe that the appropriate response should be to try them in court for mutiny and all of their charges that they bring.
And face death penalty. I don't think that's fair at all. Anyway.
I don't know if that is going to stick, sweetie. I think the people have a right to protest. If they protest peacefully, it doesn't make sense to charge them, especially if your government has money and they are buying private jets for $100 million, when the average Nigerian cannot even afford $2 a day. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think most Nigerians will pick, we are saying our economy is bad, but when you look at it, most Nigerians will pick the current state of our economy over theirs, and the stability, the seemingly peaceful democracy that we are enjoying right now over all that's happening in Nigeria. Let's get to this.
The good thing is that the new president, he had implemented some policies that really helped the nation's debt, right? Some of those policies were very unpopular, including removing tax subsidies on electricity and also fuel. When it comes to how the money is being used, the savings that they got from there, right? They are just going ahead to buy that plane alone. It tells the people that their leaders don't care about their plight. They are saving the money for their own use, for their own purposes. And I don't think that is the right image that the Nigerian people want to see. That is why one of the reasons why I believe they are not satisfied.
Now the EC. This is still the Daily Graphic. On page 13, EC suspends officer over unsolicited voter transfers. The Electoral Commission says it will not shield any official, either permanent or temporary, who violates any of its processes that compromises the integrity of the electoral system. It has consequently suspended an electoral officer over the controversial transfer of votes from the Tamale South and Sagnerugu constituencies in the Northern region to Pusiga constituency in the Upper East region without the knowledge of the affected persons. The EC further revealed that without stating the connection with the suspended officer, that one Haruna Muniru was on police bail after he had been arrested in connection with the matter. When this news first came to light, when the NDC first brought this to the attention of the public, the EC issued a statement, and they said the provisional voter register is credible and uncompromised. I've forgotten the exact word that they used. And then that was before they started investigating. They did say they were going to investigate the matter, but you jump the gun and say that the voter register is credible. And now we are seeing that indeed some some voters were transferred without the knowledge of the affected persons. And we had them here on that special edition. We hosted the deputy chairperson of the EC, Dr. Bosman Asari, and he was telling us that there's nothing to worry about. And then you see this. And I keep asking myself, when we as Ghanaians wake up, even not those people who don't watch political talk shows, right? They read news like this in the papers. And then December is just around the corner. Will they be able to trust in the results that the EC will declare amidst all these controversies? Doc, your take.
So the EC is having a lot of bad days in the run-up to the December election. So he has the right question, right? Can we trust them? Can the people trust them? And I think it is absolutely not a good public perception for them, and they are not doing a good job to win the trust and confidence of the people. Take a look at the comments by Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe that the EC has become the greatest threat to the nation's democracy. This is coming from a founding member of the ruling MPP, who has also noted the gross inefficiencies and even sometimes what seems like a willful incompetence on the part of the EC in the way they are going about, planning for these elections. I am truly concerned, sweetie, and I believe many well-meaning Ghanaians are also concerned. Ghana is known across the region as a beacon of democracy. And to watch how this democracy is being threatened is something that worries me greatly. Look, there are so many instances of the EC demonstrating that they are not entirely effective and outrightly even sowing doubt, right, in the minds of Ghanaians as to if they are up to the task of conducting a fair and also transparent elections. Let's look at the situation when the EC gave a directive, right, to stop political parties from supervising the voter transfer exercise. I don't understand why that was the case in the first place. Because if you are the EC, you are more concerned about ensuring transparency in your process. Eventually, they rescinded their decision after the NDC staged a strong opposition to that directive. And then there was this proven issue of an authorized transfer of voters from one constituency to another without the necessary consent of these voters. Yeah, the Pusiga District Director of Elections has been suspended. But sweetie, that is not enough, to ensure that this is not an endemic problem across the whole of EC's apparatus. Quickly, and a few days ago, significant errors were found in the voter register. And then look at this whole Wali primaries that the MPP conducted, and the EC oversaw that. They claimed that that primaries in Wali went on fairly and transparently, and there was no more practice. Only for the courts to identify that dead voters were able to cast their votes for Dr. Kabiru, through their relatives. That is serious, sweetie, and we must demand that the EC be transparent and fair. We have to demand that from them.
Sometimes we say in our local parlance that not domovo and haku. I don't know if you understand that, Doc. You have it, right?
I understand that part.
Because some of these things, for the life of me, I do not understand how it actually happens, Doc. Anyway, that story is right here. The Wale parliamentary primary you talked about. Let me just, I read our audience to just, catch up with what we're talking about. The new Patriotic Party opens nominations today for a rerun of the Wale constituency primary scheduled for Sunday, September 8, 2024. After the High Court in Tamale annulled the results of the earlier poll, and the court presided over by Justice Richard Kojo held yesterday that the poll that otherwise elected Dr. Kabiru Mahama as the party's parliamentary candidate for the constituency in January was flawed with irregularities, impersonation, and overvoting. And so they've ordered a rerun. And on the back of that, three people have picked up nominations to rerun for the elections. That is the primaries ahead of the December general elections. Let's do some other stories now.
Do you mind if I quickly respond to that? I think that, I think that it's a good thing that the courts intervened, to address this issue with the MPP parliamentary candidates in Wale. I'm concerned, though, about the outcome of the court proceedings. Not that I don't agree with it, but it tells me that, indeed, the courts agree with the incumbent that there was something fishy about how the MPP conducted the elections. And if the MPP are willing to allegedly cheat, right, to see Dr. Kabiru win, if they are willing to do this internally, should we be concerned about what they may attempt to do in the general election? I'm just asking, right? I'm just asking the question. And the worst part is that, as I said, the EC oversaw this, and the same EC is saying there was no more practice. So can we trust them? Those are the questions that I think that Ghanaians should ask. Secondly, and quickly, all of these show a bit of a fracture in the MPP itself. There is an incumbent MP, Honorable Larry, I think that's the name, who allegedly she has to fight off party stalwarts for from her own party who are supporting another candidate against her. So I think there's some fracture over there that they will have to fix. And
just asking more questions. What would it really take? The NDC are making some demands, for a forensic audit, for a re-exhibition of the voter register so that people can again confirm that wherever they registered to vote, that's the polling station that they are going to vote, so that they don't wake up on December 7th and you go to a polling station and you are surprised, because we don't want any surprises. So really, what will it take? And, time is also of urgency, because it's just like 3 months to December 7th. But this is where
it's a fair demand, right? Because with everything that is going on, who is going to trust that everything is intact, everything is accurate in the EC system? There got to be some forensic audit to provide that confidence to the stakeholders that we can indeed trust the outcome of the elections. We love Ghana. We don't want the EC's mistakes or the lack thereof or whatever it is they're doing to throw Ghana into chaos. Let's take the time and do that forensic audit now so that people can trust the results of the elections.
Right. This is still the Daily Graphic. Accra East ECG begins exercise to replace over 250,000 meters. That was yesterday. We listened to the ECG MD, Samuel Dubik Mahama, saying that we should not politicize this and nobody should touch the new meters that they're installing, because they can tell from their dashboard at the main office. So the story reads, the Accra East region of the Electricity Company of Ghana has begun the replacement of over 250,000 Nuri meters with smart ones in the 8 districts under its operational area. And the exercise, which began yesterday, will also involve the replacement of other obsolete meters, including the postpaid ones in the system. And it forms part of the replacement close to 1.5 million meters under the loss reduction project being executed by the ECG. The only good thing about this for me is that the citizens are not the one bearing the cost of these replacements, but there have been reports that sometime when the new meter was installed, it came with some debts that the people had no idea where it came from. So there are some reports of some issues popping up here and there, but I, as a citizen, I just like that they're bearing the cost of this and they're not asking citizens to pay for it. Doc, your reflection on that?
So I missed that one, so I have to go and read that
no
story.
problem. Let's
what
move
I can
on.
say is this, right? I still don't have a meter in my home. I got them to connect electricity to my home, and they said they had run out of meters. So I'm hoping that with this, I would also get my meter. Hopefully, you will.
So Get Fund spends 33.7 million Ghana cedis on scholarships for 2023-2024. That's a big number there. The Ghana Education Trust Fund has extended scholarships to 5,026 students for 2023-2024 academic year. And the number constitutes fresh scholarships for the just ended academic year that covered tuition fees for the tune of 33.74 million Ghana cedis for the beneficiaries in 145 local tertiary, that is both public and private institutions. And the scholarship also reflects the increase of 15% compared with the 2022-2023 academic year that had 4,276 awardees to the tune of 25 million Ghana cedis. And this is an increase in financial commitments of 8 million, representing 24% rise. Where the money is going to? And the scholarships are being awarded to the people who really need it. Doc.
That's exactly what I was going to say, right?
Okay.
There were stories that we had a few weeks or a couple months ago when the scholarships were awarded to needy government officials. When we have folks back in the villages, brilliant but needy kids, they are not getting the scholarship and it's going to government officials. So I would say that for as long as it's going to the right recipients, that is a good thing for Mother Ghana.
Right. Let me quickly run through some other stories here and then I'll come to you at the end of it. Ghana-China bilateral trade hits 11 billion. Archbishop Ajinasare is new Bible Society of Ghana president. GTA launches Tourism Month. GCB Bank Ladies Fund life-saving surgery. Foundation supports children at Wa Regional Hospital. Bring back Odambia Festival to August. August is past. Relevance of crying. This is psychology in the health segment of the newspaper. And yeah, those are about it for the stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. There's one here says, don't compromise work through partisan activities. That is local government workers being urged. And there's a story I saw that I thought was interesting. Was it on the back page? Yes. CSO pushes for cocoa farm gate price increment. That's what last one I'll do here and I'll come to you. So the Ghana Civil Society Coco Platform, an advocacy platform for fair trade, is demanding a minimum of a 65% upward adjustment in cocoa farm gate prices for the 2024-2025 cocoa season. Specifically, the organization anticipates that farmers should receive no less than 57,230 Ghana cedis per ton of cocoa beans, which translates to a minimum of 3,583 Ghana cedis per bag. And the GCCP indicated that a price increase could help mitigate some of the financial challenges faced by cocoa farmers, including the impact of inflation, rising input costs, and the effect of global market fluctuations. But the projection underscores the ongoing efforts within the country to secure better pricing for cocoa farmers and ensure that they benefit more equitably from their contributions to the industry. And we've seen all the major political parties talk about how they want to also boost the industry by increasing the price. Same thing that these people are demanding and, put in some facilities to help, or there's some health freebies for cocoa farmers as well. I think that was coming from the NPP manifesto. But Doc, your take on the push for price increments for cocoa farm gates?
So I think it's a great idea, right? It's a great initiative that will help the farmers a lot, not just to help them with disposable income, but also this will go a long way to prevent smuggling of cocoa, a story that Joy reported a couple months ago as well. I think that was a major issue, and we have our exports growing with Switzerland. We're exporting a lot of cocoa to them. They're producing chocolates and sending that back to us and to different countries. So I think that this will go a long way to curb the menace of smuggling cocoa out of Ghana to other countries. I think this is a great idea.
Okay. Let's do some other papers now. The Economy Times. Government moves to avert effects of imminent, potentially catastrophic drought. Government takes steps to confront the challenge head-on, but doubts still arise over its commitment with elections looming. And that 8 billion Ghana cedis that the Agric Minister says Ghana needs to inject into the agricultural factor and produce or import grains, secure grains for the country, because we are facing some food crisis. And the minority, however, are saying that deploying military personnel to our borders to ensure that no farmers are exporting grains is a bit far-fetched. This is a job that they should have left to the immigration officials. And if we are not careful, we will spend more money deploying military officials to the borders than we would actually gain from, securing these borders by ensuring that no one is exporting grain. So really, is this a job that should have been left to the immigration? Do we really need military personnel deployed to the various borders or entry and exit points to ensure that no farmer is exporting grains out of this country? Doc?
So I heard about, the severe drought in the nation. Let me start from there, which is, it is destroying crops. I heard that, I heard about that in some regions, and also threatening food security in the country.
Yep.
And it also has the potential, sweetie, to make the current inflationary situation worse in the country. And I'm not saying that banning the export of grains is a good or bad idea, but that is more of a reactive approach. I think we should be more proactive in dealing with these predictable weather impacts on agriculture production in the nation. And it also sounds good that the president directed the finance minister to raise that 8 billion cedis as a relief package for the farmers. But again, we don't want to pretend that we are helpless when it comes to the impact of weather on farming. Look, I'm not an agric expert, but I read a bit on these things, and I know that with advancement of technology, even cities and countries in desert lands, they are able to beat the dry weather and cultivate crops in commercial quantities. We need to learn these new age methods of agriculture that do not solely rely on the weather, especially in this age of climate change. And I'm talking about climate-smart agriculture practices, such as drought-resistant crop varieties, and also implementing water management strategies and adopting climate-resilient farming techniques. We should be more proactive instead of reactive.
Right. And I think in being proactive, that is the talk of Paulugu Dam and so many other dams that they want to build, to boost irrigation. And we are still here. Some monies have been sunk.
They've spent $12 million.
Yes, it's been sunk in there, and we don't know what's happening. And now the NPP are saying that they are going to prioritize it in their manifesto. And I'm asking myself, so was it not a priority all this while? Let me do some quick stories on the Economy Times, and then I'll move on from this paper. 345 million Ghana cedis saved from payroll cleansing. That is according to the Labour Minister. The Ministry of Employment, Labour Relations and Pensions has indicated that about 345 million Ghana cedis has been saved from public sector payroll monitoring in 2023. And the monitoring was carried out in 120 public institutions within the period to help cut down the wage bill and ensure more transparency in the payment processes in the public sector. Quote, the exercise was meant to Just a second. Continue on page 4. The exercise was meant to ensure that public sector employees received accurate salaries, allowances, and benefits, and also uncovered several anomalies. That is according to the Employment Minister, Bafwewa. And he said that the Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission noted that throughout the implementation process, ghost workers were eliminated. This is a menace that has been plaguing us as a country for years. And I do not know when we'll wake up one day and say that indeed there are no more ghost names receiving salaries from our payroll system. One last story here and then I'll come to you, Doug. So government considers extending Kasoa Winneba Highway project. Secured loans surged to 10.8 billion Ghana cedis. Newmont pays 3.17 billion in taxes to Ghana government. I like this one. In the first half of 2024 alone, Newmont Corporation, which operates the Ahafo and Ache mines in Ghana, paid over 3.176 billion Ghana cedis in taxes, royalties, levies, carried interest and property rates to the government of Ghana. And these payments were directed to the Ghana Revenue Authority, Forestry Commission, Ministry of Finance, and various district assemblies where the company operates. Let me quote someone who once said, all these monies are coming in, but where are they going? We are still hungry in this country. Doc, these stories from the Economy Times.
Look, so when it comes to the payroll cleansing, I'm really glad that at least we are able to save some money. But there should be some, someone needs to take accountability for something, right? You just don't cleanse the payroll, save money, and that's the end of story. If you don't let somebody take accountability for this, you don't hold somebody responsible for this, and we still have ghost names, these things will continue to recur. And the corruption that we've always talked about, we cannot solve it. But if people see that there is going to be repercussions, if you as the conduit to get ghost names on the register to siphon money from government, if they hold you accountable and people see that, I think that would deter people from others from committing such fraud against the government. And then also,
I was wondering, I mean, in this age of digitalization and what we're doing with the Ghana card, isn't that a way to actually sieve out those non-existent people receiving monies? Isn't there a way that we can digitize this payroll system so that, you know, you're a financial analyst. Tell us, is there no system, no technology that we can use or adapt to help phase out all these ghost names in the system without actually sitting down and then once in a year we say we are cleaning the system and we found this, we've saved this amount of money? Isn't there a way we can automate this?
So that there are so many ways you can automate this and have proper oversight over the whole process. But I'll quote somebody who appears on your show that I listened to, Dr. Asante. He says that we can fight corruption. The problem is the political will. The people don't have the will. If they have the will, we can solve some of these things. It shouldn't be a problem.
Well. You were going to complete your submission on the other story.
Yeah, I was going to mention quickly about the good news with the Newmont taxes. That is great stuff for the nation. The country needs a lot of money, and I'm glad that companies are doing well and will pay more taxes to the government. But I think that we should diversify government sources of revenue and not just focus on taxation. We should pursue policies that will lead to business expansion, business growth. The more business do well, the more taxes that we will receive from them. And then that will also create employment opportunity for people to solve the acute unemployment problem in the nation. So I think that it's a good start, it's good news, but there is more we can do as a nation, you know, to increase government revenue.
Okay. The New Republic on the front page, how Bawumia's running mates nearly ran with $31 million. Mahama outlines strategies to boost foreign direct investment. Fake consortium, scandal rocks President Akufo-Addo's mega project. On the ABC News front page, Eastern Region hosts second edition of 2024 regional town halls today. How is Mahama going to run 24-hour nightclub with Dumso Napo Questions Mahama. And Free SHS has improved Ghana's education outcomes, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says. Let me get to that story on the ABC News page 5. And it reads, the Vice President and flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has refuted claims that the implementation of the free senior high school has led to a decrease in the quality of education in 66 countries. Addressing a gathering of clergy, imams, and opinion leaders in Domi-Kwabenya constituency, the Vice President said statistics show that the performance of students have rather improved in Wasi than before. But, I mean, yes, we get to reflect on this story. I want to put something to you, Doc. So, the Vice President, I listened to him yesterday saying that it will not be under his watch that men will marry men and women will marry women. And, you know, alluding to that anti-LGBTQ bill. He hasn't categorically said yet that he will either assent to it, you know, it will be revised, whatever. He just says that he's against the practice. And I keep asking myself, in as much as this is not a very crucial thing that most Ghanaians are worried about right now, because there are bread and butter issues that we are concerned about, which is the real reasons why we are voting. Why has this taken us so long? And why has this become another political football that we are playing? This party says this party says that. As a country, can we not just clear this off our table and move on? Doc, your final reflections. Yeah.
Pretty briefly on this one, I think that if you're running for office, you need to make your policy position very clear and not just talk about it, but actually do something about it, right? Dr. Bawumia is part of the current administration. They can make a decision if they want to assent to that bill or not. But here's the thing. Here's the real issue. These are our leaders that led us into this economic mess. And we are out there begging IMF and other organizations for loans because we are bankrupt. So what they don't want to do is to either assent to the bill and then incur the anger of those that will need to borrow us, right? So that's what happens if you depend on other people to feed you, to borrow you money. And we should learn the lesson from this.
Right. Doc, give me your final take and then we wrap up. I
would say this, right? The whole thing about the EC is very concerning. We've talked about it from, I think, from the beginning of the year to now. A lot of people have been talking about, are we going to be having a free and a fair elections? Are people going to do anything and everything possible in the name of breaking the 8? You know, are they going to cheat? Are they going to allow the EC to operate independently? And I think that we are at an inflection point at this point as a nation. We need to take these elections very seriously, I mean the EC, and make sure that Ghanaians have that opportunity to choose their leaders. That is how democracy works. Ghana is known across the sub-region as a beacon of democracy. That is one thing that we can be very proud of. And it should not take a few people to deprive us of that democracy and cause the nation to descend into chaos. I think that we should put our conscience first. We should put the nation first. Ghana is bigger than any one political party. And it's very important for the EC chair, the people that work in that institution. It is very important for them to put the nation first, to be more patriotic than pledging allegiance to one political party. It is super important for the nation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wisdom Dogbe, financial analyst, for joining us to review the newspapers this morning.
Thank you.
But before I go, these are some dedications coming in. Happy birthday to my son, Isaiah Ni Yemo Kwame Anang. God richly bless your new age. Wishing you all the best life has to offer. Mommy and everyone loves you so much. So higher. And this is coming from a team member here at Joy News. And announcement, debtors announcement. The owners of the following companies should contact the general manager of sales and customer service of the multimedia group by Wednesday, that's tomorrow, September 4th, 2024, in connection with their credit businesses on the group's platform. The following companies are the ones we're referring to: Slade Industries, Ganaba Investment, Modern Initiative Broadcasting Limited, Gilly Gold Pharmaceuticals, Liberty Industries, Wadis Entertainment, Highlinks Communication Limited, and Edwin's Consult. Please do well to contact the sales and marketing manager here by tomorrow to sort out your debts. Thank you so much for staying with us on the News Review segment. Coming up next is sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, and you want to stay with that. And after that, we get into the conversation on whether or not you are satisfied with some of the directions or directives of the EC and the demands of the opposition NDC. We'll be right back.
Let's do sports now on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. We start with the Black Stars, who will travel to Kumasi later today to continue their preparations for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Angola. 10 players trained at Accra Sports Stadium on Monday. They include Frederick Asare, Joseph Wolacott, Abdul Fattah Isahaku, Thomas Partey, and Ibrahim Osman. The technical team is expecting a full house ahead of their trip to Kumasi, where they'll train at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium for the upcoming clash on Thursday. To the Under-20 World Cup, and it hasn't been the start Ghanaians hoped for. The Black Princesses suffered a surprising 2-1 defeat at the hands of debutants Austria in Group E. The Austrians scored twice before Stella Nyamiche pulled one back in injury time.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to the El Techo Stadium as debutants Austria face Ghana, who are making their 7th straight appearance. Laura Spin, and she's spun it in, and there is history for Austria. Their first ever goal at a FIFA women's competition, and it's struck home by the youngster Hannah Fankhauser, picked up by Nyamache, who's gone for goal and forced a good save out of El Sharif. First serious sight of goal that Ghana have had. Oh, and that's come through, there's no flag, chance for number 2. That's a very good stop from Amanyaku. But they've been dispossessed in a dangerous area here, and that's an excellent save again from El Sharif. Well, she's made 2 top stops now. Greater spin, no flag for the hit, and a good stop low down. Nyamache. Still Stella Nyamache. Oh! Well, she forced a save out of El Sharif in the first half. The Austrian keeper was getting nowhere near this one. Berger waits in the middle, did that go out? Apparently not, it's still in. Penalty, Ojukwu, nerveless penalty, and any Austrian nerves might be subsiding now. Picked up by Nyamache, who's still going, the captain. Oh, brilliant, she has deserved that. It's a stellar strike, Stella Nyamache. It was nervy at the end, but they saw it out to win by 2-1.
Away from the Under-20 World Cup in Colombia to Ghana, and 6 years after the government announced plans to construct 10 multi-purpose facilities across the country, only the Koforidua facility has been completed and commissioned. Work on the other venues has stalled due to financial challenges, according to the Sports Ministry. The National Democratic Congress is now promising to complete all unfinished projects if elected. Edem Adbana is a member of their sports committee.
If you look at our manifesto, we also stated that for the new regions and across each region, we need to have people who are able, we need to have the people identifying that they have the right infrastructure in each region to work with. And in each region, where government of the NPP has started a project of that nature, I can assure you that we will complete it. I know for a fact the Volta region and many other regions, so that's what they are trying to put at Adaklu. We will have to complete it. And President Mahama, since 2017, has maintained that as president, he will make sure that every project that is commenced by this government, he will complete it, because come to think of it, it's not President Akufo-Addo's personal money. So abandoning projects by previous regimes is not good. It doesn't augur well for us because it amounts to wasting resources. So unlike the NPP government that abandoned all the significant projects that President Mahama started,
There are financial challenges. What makes you think
we believe that, you see, if you are able to find money to start a new project, and you tell us that you are not able to find the money to complete ones that have started before you came, it tells you that you don't have the political will. You know, we need to be sincere to the good people of Ghana. If you can find money to start new projects, and your excuse for not completing the old ones is that you do not have enough resources or financial challenges.
Isn't that the reality?
The reality may be that you don't have the resources, but just as you're able to find resources to start a new one, it tells you that if you have the political will, there is a way.
So what is it that they are doing wrong?
They don't have the political will. They are afraid to compete of President Mahama because they believe it may give him some credit or political advantage, but that is not how governance is. We need to complete them. And so I'm giving you my firmest assurance that I will be in Parliament in 2025 by God's grace. And I believe that we will be part of the people who can speak confidently for government. We will make sure that every single sport facility that the MPP government has initiated across the regions, we will complete those projects.
In the next 4 years?
We will complete those projects because they must be completed. We even stated in our manifesto that for the 6 new regions, we must construct some standard pitch for them.
Just after the Electoral Commission concluded a one-week voter exhibition exercise, the National Democratic Congress was up in arms. They insisted that the names of some voters had been transferred illegally and deliberately to favor the new Patriotic Party. In a Jumaku Enyan Esiam in the Central Region, the NDC alleged that the EC secretly transferred 3,000 plus voters into the constituency's voter register. Deputy Commissioner at the EC, Dr. Bosman Asari, says it was an honest mistake.
In the preparations towards the 2024 exhibition exercise, the absent voters list and the transferred voters list inadvertently included all transfers that had been done since 2020 when this register was first prepared. This has resulted in a higher than expected number of absent and transferred voters. This understandably may have caused some anxiety to our stakeholders, as exemplified by the press conference addressed by the NDC in the Ejumaku Enyan Esiam constituency of the Central Region. The Commission has corrected this anomaly and will share with all the political parties the corrected absent and transferred voters list.
In the Upper East Region, the Commission says it has suspended the Pusiga District Electoral Officer after concluding preliminary investigations into the alleged voter transfer.
The voters involved in the Tamale South and Sangnerigu constituencies incident have denied taking part in a transfer exercise. What they have alluded to is that their voter ID cards were collected by one Haruna Muniru, ostensibly for the processing of a loan. Preliminary investigations by the Commission have revealed that voter transfers were indeed effected for 38 individuals, using the credentials of an Electoral Commission official. The Commission has suspended the Pusiga District Electoral Officer and has invited him to respond to the Commission's findings.
The Commission now says it has broadened its investigation to include all district electoral officers, fearing the issue may be widespread. They have also introduced fresh measures to ensure this does not happen again.
The Commission is currently investigating. While the Commission does not have any evidence to believe that this occurrence is widespread, We have instituted investigations to ascertain if similar incidents occurred elsewhere beyond the reported case in the Tamale South and Sagnerego constituencies. Any such transfers will be reversed. Following this incident, the Commission has introduced a liveliness check in the verification process, which is a feature designed to ensure that the biometric data being captured is from a live, present human being and not from a spoof source, such as photograph, which is what was done in this case. The liveliness check has since been built into the system to prevent any such future occurrence.
The Commission says, although the register is not foolproof, they insist that the voter register is credible and will always take steps to correct all anomalies. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Let's discuss this. The NDC is declaring some demands for, well, a forensic audit and a re-exhibition of the voter register, the provisional voter register, and they say these demands are non-negotiable. And as you just heard there, the Deputy Chairperson, Dr. Bosman Asare, saying that it was a mistake, and they've corrected it, they've suspended the official in charge, and they've invited the person to aid in the investigation to see the extent to which this errors occurred. In the studio with me this morning is Mustafa Bande, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Mustafa Bande, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So a few months to elections. How's the NDC doing? How are you preparing?
NDC is very prepared to save the people of Ghana.
Save the people of Ghana?
Yeah.
Because we need saving.
The victory of the NDC come December 7th is a redemption of the people of Ghana. As for the first time again, all of us coming to the table, reasoning to deal with the Ghanaian problem. First time again, having a certain crop of leadership that would think with the ordinary Ghanaian about how to put food on the table, how to put a smile in the lives of Ghanaian citizens. So far, the people in power are enemies of the state. They have destroyed, they've stolen more than they need. They have also refused to build to replace what they have stolen.
That's why you need a reset.
That is
That's
why
you think
we don't just need a reset. We need to remove them from power, and we need to recover what has been taken illegally.
Okay, so let's discuss your demands and the response. You had there Dr. Bosman Asare saying that it was an honest mistake. The person has been invited for questioning to respond to and help them actually to investigate to see what else is amiss. And he has been suspended. How do you respond to the EC's response to your concerns and subsequently this thing turning out to be true because you first brought it to the awareness of the public?
Well, a very good morning to the commissioners of the Electoral Commission. I think it's very laughable when they come to a table of reasoning, intellectual prudency, with such deficiency of logic, that, but for the NDC, okay, you wouldn't have even been aware that people's names have been deleted, let alone for us to get to the conversation of an honest mistake.
Is that what you're calling deficiency of logic?
We'll get there. 2, we raised and requisitioned for an IPAC, emergency IPAC meeting, in accordance of rights as members of IPAC, for us to discuss fundamental, inaccuracies and discrepancies that we have identified with the Commission. In the first place, the NDC didn't go to the public to discuss the substance of the reasons that we are calling for an emergency IPAC. Now, in the instance where we all sit in a room to discuss matters, MPP, other political parties, you would have waited for us to come so that we'll give you further and better particulars. The Electoral Commission's response to the NDC was that, oh, no, we are just being alarmist, and that the provisional voters register was provisional and that there could be errors. The errors we have identified came as a result of vigorous analysis of what document the Electoral Commission have provided and sought to call it as a provisional voters register. The document they have...
Hold on 1 second. We had Dr. Bosman Asare here in that special edition, the build-up, 99 days to elections.
Yes.
And he's told us that the very reason why you exhibit this provisional register is so that these errors can come to light, so that they can take steps like they're taking now to ensure that the right things are done.
They are classified, protected, and orchestrated fraudulent manipulation of the register, deliberately orchestrated by the Electoral Commission. Bosman Asare, to the best of my knowledge, and I don't want to get into his personality this morning, let us face the issues. The issues are that when you report a matter to the police can know if the person has taken it or not. But of course, the process says, get a complainant, get a witness, take it through a process. Why is the Electoral Commission running when nobody is chasing the commission? And you have admitted that so far, because of our alarmist behavior, you have identified what you call an honest mistake. But yet, you call that register robust. Does it not defeat logic? It defeats logic. The document as it stands, being called a register, is a paper printed with manipulated figures. And let me tell you, who would have thought that in all of this, okay, the MPP would join us to call for a transparent, a credible voters register? It may favor them. It may favor us. But the silence of the MPP is louder than their accomplice in the act.
You cannot call these an accomplice to the...
For any serious political party headed into an election, confident of winning that election, will be interested in what, how the voters register is compiled.
Okay.
So for these heinous, deliberate, fraudulent, intentional manipulations to occur, and the MPP is quiet 2 weeks, just tells you that the Electoral Commission today is a very dangerous institution.
I don't think they're quiet. Again, Haruna Mohammed was here with us, and he was saying, in fact, he was quoting some LIs and CIs for us. And he joins us actually on phone. So let me put this to him. So Haruna, when you joined us earlier for that conversation in the build-up 100 days to election, and the issue of that voter transfer to Pusiga came up, you mentioned that it cannot be a deliberate attempt to move voters from one place to the other. And even if that has happened, it cannot be something that the EC would condone. Now the EC is saying that indeed these voters have been transferred. It was an honest mistake. The person has been suspended and invited to aid in investigation. How do you respond to these new pieces of information coming to light? Haruna, you have to unmute so we can hear you.
I have to unmute you. I've not muted you.
Okay.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Good morning to your charity viewers, and then good morning to my brother, Mustafa. I know today he has a seat, and he's enjoying the space. Remember, I'll come back. The space cannot be for you alone, sitting in the studio. Yes, the last time we had a discussion on that particular matter, I did inform you that there were laws that governs registration and voting processes in Ghana, i.e. in CI 91 and CI 127. When this was reported, I said that the Electoral Commission is a human institution. There are always a process of how we do this. In terms of voter transfer, I quoted a portion that talked about how the voter transfer is being started and how it has to also be ended. So if there was that accusation, I pointed to that particular process. And mind you, yesterday, the Electoral Commission did not just say that these are actually relocated by one or two or this particular reason, but they went ahead to suspend the officer for investigation. It means that the Electoral Commission wants to get to know what actually occasions the happening or the transfer that has been reported. So it was not a confirmation of exactly what happened, but the Electoral Commission to be given the opportunity to investigate why it happened and who occasioned this particular thing happening, and whether even it has happened on the basis of the report that they are talking about. So
from your side, you have no concerns at all that, I mean, you are satisfied with the, first of all, the confirmation that some voters were transferred and what the EC is doing about it. One, suspending the official in question and inviting for to aid investigation, even on the back of the demands that the NDC are making for a forensic audit and a re-exhibition of the voter exhibition. Yeah.
Yes, even in the media cycle, when you have the opportunity to ask questions, when somebody asks a question that you want to ask, you don't ask it again. So we are concerned if these are the things that is happening and they are raising it and investigations are being done. It's not everything that every political party comes out to talk about. So if they have brought the issue and the Electoral Commission is investigating it, we are very much concerned about the outcome that will be coming out from the Electoral Commission's investigation. Remember, during the registration process, a number of things happened in Pusiga, even up to the point that one of the temporal officers has to be removed. You remember? So we are very much concerned. All these matters are things that we have aggregated, and we are following them one after the other. We have had concerns that we have to write and then complain, and that has been the process. So, and right from listening, I told you that we have done a number of things, either by publicly or by writing, without coming out to discuss those particular matters.
Right. Haruna, I have to interject at this point. So, Mr. Gwande was just saying that your silence is very loud, and you're saying that you are concerned. How concerned are you about the demands of the NDC, and why aren't we hearing you and these concerns coming up from the camp of the NPP?
We are not in competition with the NDC to be loud. They can decide to be loud. We can decide to do the things as the procedures demand. When we were talking about overvoting and polling stations without serial numbers, they were quiet. Was that an admission that they created them? Was it? When we have been raising issues about electoral reforms and they were quiet, were they comfortable with the old system? He knows. He goes to IPAC. Most of the time when he goes, I am not there. But Obiamwa, they've been there. Obiamwa will raise issues before issues. And the forum to raise issues for corrective measures to be done is an inter-party advisory committee. And the NPP always make our point at IPAC. It is not just a matter of amplifying the volume outside.
Okay.
Making sure that the essence of what you are saying directly goes to the people. If you can even say it on radio or TV, and the Electoral Commission will say that they have not received any official complaint.
Okay.
But we have done so on several occasions. Okay. And I have always said, things that they make noise, I tell you that they are making noise about it. And none of the issues that I have said NDC have made noise about them was discussed at yesterday's press conference.
So, Haruna, my question to you then is, are you backing the cause for a thorough investigation that a forensic audit to detect any discrepancies, to ensure that all the wrongs are righted and perpetrators brought to book?
That will lead to an election that will be free, that will be fair, and that will be credible. The NPP is for it.
Let's make it very simple. Are you backing the call of the NDC for a forensic audit and a re-exhibition of the provisional voter register? Are you backing that call?
I have not heard your question.
I'm asking that the NDC are demanding a forensic audit into this voter register, and they're also asking that it be re-exhibited. Are you backing that call?
We are not in a debate as to somebody raising an issue and somebody is backing an issue. They have a legitimate reason to raise any issue, and whatever they raise in respect to an audit or whatever, that will inure to the benefit of securing a free and fair election. It's in the right direction. But it is not for them
is
to
that
raise.
Not the, is that not in the interest of a free and fair election, Haruna? Is this forensic audit and a re-exhibition
not to say that we back them and that is what will make it free and fair.
All right. All right, hold
it's
for
not
me.
to say that, oh, we back what they are saying, that will make it free and fair. The actions that the Electoral Commission will take to do the audit and let it be free and fair is what will make it. But not us saying that we are backing what we are backing what they are saying.
Okay, so you are not backing the NDC, right?
To have a clean and then free and fair elections, the MPP is all for it.
So Haruna, do you want the EC to conduct a forensic audit into the provisional voter register and re-exhibit the register for the voting population to confirm?
Any call that will make sure that the writing is done, the register is clean, the register is what is up, that will inure to a free and fair election, the MPP is for it.
Thank you.
The answer you are looking from me, I don't think, Sweetie, you get it, because I am not
Haruna, hold for me for a second.
So I'm just telling you, you can't get that direct answer from me. I'll give you a response that will suit to a free and fair election.
Thank you, Haruna. Don't go away for a second. Monday.
The MPP's silence only.
To be fair, they're not silent.
No,
they say anything that the EC would do to ensure that the elections are free and fair.
They are very disingenuous when it comes to these discussions. And I must say that we have various stakeholders in elections management. The ordinary Ghanaian voter is a stakeholder, right? The people of Ghana are saying that it's strange that I've registered my name to vote only for you to call for exhibition. I get to an exhibition center and my name has been transferred to another region. Now, if you check the percentage of turnout for the exhibition exercise, which is very low, the propensity that a lot of people have also lost their data without, all of us knowing is very high. Haruna agrees that there was some wrongdoing. And it is wrong for Bosman Asare to call it
a mistake.
No, he names it some way. He says an honest mistake. It's a dishonest, incompetent mistake. It means that you and I, our data available to the EC is not secured. Someone else may be assessing it for uses beyond elections. If an officer in Pusiga can sit down and transfer data from Tamale South, from Central Region, it means that it's a grand fraudulent scheme. And there are actors within the Electoral Commission who are aiding these schemes at the blind side of all of us. And the MPP is quiet. And the MPP says that we won't back the NDC's call. But again, we are for anything that will aid transparent election. We are backing the MPP's call for transparent processes. We are going to back Haruna's conversation this morning that let us all get the Electoral Commission to do what to give us a credible, transparent, free and fair election. And as it stands, what they call provisional voters register is not qualified to be called a register. It is a manipulated document, miscalculated document, mixed figures. Today, as we speak, the Electoral Commission have not been able to tell you and I how many people are potentially going to vote in 2024.
Oh, they did. They told
the Electoral Commission have not been able to tell you.
They did. Dr. Serbo Kweku told us. We had that conversation. It was some, I don't have it off the top of my head, but he gave us. We computed it, in fact, here, provisional.
Yeah. Okay. Has the Electoral Commission been able to tell you the number of people who have registered in the last ended limited registration exercise?
Okay, but hold for me for a second. We have Dr. John Osai-Kwapon joining us via Zoom, and he's a member of the Center for Democratic Development. Doc, thank you so much for joining the conversation. How would you assess the EC's response to these errors so far? What do you make of the whole issue? Yeah,
good morning. We've had a number of conversations about the critical role of the EC in this election. The fact that the EC is going into this election not enjoying very high perceptions among Ghanaians. If you look at the Afrobarometer survey, trust in the EC is at its lowest in the history of the Afrobarometer survey. So within that context, I've regularly written and I've regularly said that the last thing the EC wants to do is to give any of the stakeholders in this election another reason to have doubts, another reason to start wondering whether the processes, are transparent, are free, and that we can be guaranteed of an incident-free election in December, that everyone would walk away on December 7th feeling that, the processes are going to guarantee a free and fair election. And so when you hear of news that you have an officer, yes, it may be one officer who has illegally transferred someone's registration from one place to another, right? Even though it could be just one incident, or it could be just that one officer, but you can just imagine what that does, right? It fuels a lot of questions, it raises a lot of issues, and then it goes back to undermining the trust and the confidence that Ghanaians have. Yes, I'm glad that that officer has been suspended, but again, there are some luxuries that the EC cannot afford in this election, given how it is already been perceived.
Doc, does this honest mistake that Dr. Bosman Asare posted, does it fall under some of these luxuries that the EC cannot afford at this time in the build-up to election 2024?
Yes, I mean, no system is perfect, no individuals are perfect. But under such circumstances, no one makes the distinction between an honest and a dishonest mistake. And I think that is what I'm hoping that the EC will be very, sensitive to and cognizant of, so that they make sure that they try their very, very, very best not to give anyone any reason to have doubt. Yes, their response was very swift in dealing with the officer. Dr. Bosman Asare was on the show, I think it was last Thursday or so, talking about all the things that would happen as they note some of these challenges during the exhibition period. And then those things will be fixed. Yes, I like the assurance, but there's no room for an honest or quote-unquote a dishonest mistake at this point.
Doc, the NDC is asking for a forensic audit into this register, provisional register, as well as a re-exhibition of it. Good call?
Yes, especially if some of these issues, challenges that have emerged, right? And you want to make sure that everybody, who wants the opportunity to ensure that their name is in the right place at the right polling station. Yes, then I see no reason why you cannot reopen the exhibition period, just to make sure that there are no issues or no challenges come election day for everyone.
Okay, let me go back to Haruna. Haruna, just a quick follow-up to the questions I was asking. So what if we invited an external party to conduct this audit or investigate thoroughly the provisional register? Would that be something that the NDC would be happy about?
If you can come again, I can't hear the question.
I'm asking if the MPP would agree to an external audit of the voter register, not internally from the EC, but invite an external person to come and thoroughly investigate this provisional register before the elections are conducted.
I don't know the extent of which. There are laws governing this particular exercise. There are CIs that is governing this particular exercise. So if it's not in conformity with the CI, I might not be able to just confirm that this should be done. Anything that has to be done in conformity with the law. Okay. And this can always discuss at IPAC and agree. When matters are agreed at IPAC, and then political parties agree to the procedural issues will come up, how it's going to be done, we can always participate in the process. but not to take up the process to execute as political parties. I believe that these are some of the genuine concerns that we have to discuss at IPAC and have a consensus on it, because we are all for anything credible that is going to make sure that this election free, fair, and then the winner will be clean. And we are very confident that we don't need the Electoral Commission for victory. We don't need the Electoral Commission. We only need free and fair process to win these elections.
Okay, thank you. But don't go away. Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe has been saying some things. But before we go and take that sound and discuss, Monday, are you looking for an external audit or an internal one?
We have, as part of the application that we've made for an emergency meeting, and the NDC have always been fair, let me put it on record. We even take on fights that covers our brothers, the MPP. One, the NDC believes that we don't want to go into an election that is not transparent with other competitors that we have. Two, our democracy have outgrown this opaque and archaic style of politics where political parties stage rigging of election. Let us try to take ourselves out of the appetite of stealing. Now, we have called for IPAC so that both the NDC and the MPP, who are major stakeholders, can have a fair conversation as far as some of the issues are concerned. Look, beyond even issues of illegal transfer, do you know that there are even issues of data availability?
Yeah.
Where we believe that some Ghanaians are complaining that the flag bearer of the MPP is possessing people's data available to the Electoral Commission. How possible is it that as soon as you have registered as a voter, the flag bearer of the MPP sends you a message, tells you which constituency you belong to, tells you who is your parliamentary candidate? All of these borders on credibility of your information available to the Electoral Commission beyond election.
Okay.
So therefore, when you look at these germane issues, very serious issues, very fundamental issues, then we'll be having a discussion to select or to agree with an auditor who has credibility to be able to ensure that credibility prevails.
How confident? You sound like you have no confidence in the EC at all.
Hey!
Do you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the confidence level in the
current Electoral Commission, quite apart from the fact that some of them are political affiliates, have demonstrated dangerous incompetence. Dangerous incompetence.
Put a figure to it for me.
Their incompetence can undermine the democracy of this country.
So on a scale of 1 to 10.
Their incompetence can take away lives.
We have to go for that sound. On a scale of 1 to 10.
I cannot rate them because it's beyond what I can rate. Look, if you trust the Electoral Commission on incompetence, then what are you trusting? I can only trust you because you are competent. I can only trust you because you are working with the rules. Right. This is an Electoral Commission that sits at headquarters. People enter its offices, steal devices, and they say they are not aware. This is a commission that sits down. Its officer transfer data, information, and they said they are not aware.
Okay,
and that
so
we
now,
call that an honest mistake.
Nyaho-Tamakloe is saying that the EC is the greatest threat to Ghana's democracy. Let's listen to what he said and then we'll discuss.
At the moment, the greatest threat to our democracy is the Electoral Commission. That is the greatest threat to our democracy. And if we are not careful, they will lead this country into destruction. Mark my words. Why do I say so? How on earth can transfers be made from one particular constituency to another without the consent of the person? These are facts.
So there you have it. Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe is also saying that it's...
How excited the audience were. All Ghanaians, majority of Ghanaians believe that this Electoral Commission is taking all of us to war. The Electoral Commission is taking us into a conflict, a war.
Right.
A war that will undermine the peace and stability of this country.
Mande, hold for me. I want to go to Haruna for his response on what Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe has been saying. And he's one of the founding members of the New Patriotic Party. Haruna,
he's not a founding member.
What do you make of what he said in regards to this issue we are discussing and the votes transfer?
For a correction, Nyaho-Tamakloe is a suspended member of our party by the Greater Accra some time back, and he has been a suspended member up to date. I'm not surprised that Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe will come out with this particular statement, just as he's describing the Electoral Commission as being one of the dangerous. He's another part of one of the dangerous persons in multi-party democracy, who easily does not understand how processes goes and run communities.
But Haruna, the focus is not on his persona, his personality. What he is saying is that
that's not keeping for you.
He's not an institution.
Haruna must apologize. Please, you must get Haruna to apologize.
Bande, hold for me.
You can't make these references to somebody who is old enough to be your friend. The name calling cannot continue. The disrespect cannot continue by the MPP.
Please, just a second. So, Haruna, what I'm saying to you is that this man, whether or not he's a suspended member, we know for a fact that he had something to do in the formation or, the successes of the New Patriotic Party. And he's saying that, or he's warning that if care is not taken, the EC could plunge the country into some danger. I'm asking you, what do you make of...
I'm saying that he's one of those persons in Ghana who are also threats to multi-party democracy.
And what facts do you have to back that? Because he spoke based on the fact that, yes, he spoke about the voter transfer to Pusiga. He's alluding to that. He's saying that that's a very dangerous thing to do. So what facts do you have to say that he's part of the danger?
He's talking about an issue that is under investigation. And you yourself, he, Mustafa, sitting there, knows that the process of transferring those particular votes, if it is true, they're not occasioned by the Electoral Commission. It's a fact.
This is incompetence. Again, ignorance.
The process of transferring
who is keeping the data? Who is keeping the data?
Another electoral
Who is keeping the data?
All right.
Mohammed doesn't understand elections.
Haruna, it appears...
He's not on top of the issues. Who is keeping the data?
Bande, I'll come to you in 1 second, okay?
Mustafa, I have run these things far and long.
You are displaying ignorance. Who is keeping the data?
Coalition, electoral process as far back as 2004.
Student election, but this is national election.
Yes. In terms of...
This is national election. Who is keeping the data? Why do you say the Electoral Commission...
Okay, gentlemen, hold for me. Let me go to Dr. John Osai-Kwapong.
No, you don't.
Haruna, hold on, please.
I'm telling you this.
You don't.
I'm telling you for a fact. Go and check then in Zabzugu Tatali. You come from Tatali. Go and check.
You don't understand elections.
Go and check. My contribution to electoral processes...
Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, let me bring you in at this point. So, Haruna, you have to mute for me for a second.
Challenge me about election process.
All right, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, this is what Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe is saying. We can't seem to find any response from the NPP on that regard. But what do you make of it? And then how do we fix this issue going forward?
I would go as far as saying that the EC is the greatest threat to Ghana's democracy. There are quite a number of challenges that Ghana's democracy faces, not just from the EC, from institutions and other ways in which our democracy is practiced. So I won't stretch it that far. But yes, I do agree that the EC has a very critical role to play in ensuring a free and fair election. And a free and fair election is not just what happens on election day. It's all the things in between now and that election day, right? Which is why, for me, even if, the EC wants to describe this as an honest mistake, you want to hope that it's not a pattern of behavior, it's not something that is occurring in other EC offices, no officers are engaged in any sort of untoward behavior, etc., because again, all of those things would undermine the confidence that not just the political parties, but citizens have, in the process as we prepare for this very crucial election. The EC has work to do, and it has to make sure that it is 10 steps ahead in ensuring that the lost confidence does not further deteriorate. For me, that is the issue confronting the EC now.
Okay, let me put a pin in that conversation. Now, Haruna, it appears there's something happening. We have 3 new Patriotic Party members of Parliament and former members of Parliament who are, going independent. We can talk about Cynthia Morrison. Then there's the Suhum, Member of Parliament for Suhum, also declaring independence, as well as the former Ladade Kotopong MP, Vincent Soa Odotoe, also going independent. Are you concerned? And what do you think accounts for these, should I call it a desertion of the party? What's happening there?
This is something we are also hearing from the media, which has not been confirmed because, as you said, we don't have an independent candidate as of now. Nobody has picked forms and nobody has filed in terms of submission and to be confirmed as an independent candidate. We've heard so from the media. The party leadership is following all this particular conversation, and when the time is due, the party will speak appropriately on them.
Thank you. Bande, is the NDC concerned or are you excited? How do you feel about these members of the New Patriotic Party leaving to go and contest as independent candidates? Let's move away from the issue of the EC and talk about this.
Haruna is not being factual. If you look at the intricacies of all the issues leading to MPP people protesting to go on independent, it's as a result of electoral malpractice. In Wale Wale, the same thing. In Yendi, the same thing. So when you use force, okay, to downplay somebody's potentiality to win an election, the person deflects. They did the same thing to Canada, Japan. They tried to do the same thing to Alan Kojo Chirimantin. And the MPP have become, they've developed a strong appetite for what you may not directly call stealing, but rigging. Compromising processes. They don't play fair. They don't want to play fair. They don't understand what fairness is. So this is what will happen to their own political party. How can you be a deputy general secretary and say that you are not aware that somebody is going on independent? Have anybody feel picked a form? Have MPP parliamentary candidates picked a form? You don't even have MPP candidates. They are all candidates at this moment. We don't have somebody that are fine.
Right.
How can you say you are not aware?
So as we speak,
Wale Wale have been nullified. Wale Wale have been nullified. Yendi, same. Yendi, same. Wale Wale,
let him respond. I'll come back.
Electoral malpractice.
Haruna, what are you saying?
Please, Sweetie.
Yeah.
Please, correct my brother. Correct him for me. There is no candidate for now. He knows it.
But how do you say we don't have independent candidates? How did you know that we don't have an independent candidate?
I did not say I don't know.
If they picked up forms, Haruna, if they picked up forms to contest
about rumors. General Secretary speaks on facts. General Secretaries don't speak on rumors. General Secretaries quote the rumors, but speak to the facts. And the fact is that we have not had any official that this person has filed as independent. And I have also said, we've heard these discussions in the media, and the national party.
Did you say they have filed? Did you say they have filed? She didn't say they have filed.
Communicate when the
who is he listening to and who is he talking to?
What amounts to the fact that I said I don't know. Then second, let me tell you, Cynthia Morrison became third in the contest of the election. Suhum MP lost the election by vote difference of 179. So it is not that they have not been given fair contest. They contested and lost the election. And that is the case. So if this is what, the same thing that is happening now, it's happening in the NDC. There are several people who also want to go independent.
Where?
So, and these are matters that the party leadership at various levels are interrogating and making sure that we are working through to get to the bottom of this matter. At the right time that the party will speak, the party will speak.
Okay, so I want your quick reaction on this. So nominations have been open for the NPP Wale Wale parliamentary primary to be rerun, right? That is between Dr. Kabiru and Larry Basura Abudu.
Yes. In fact, that is why I am on my way.
And that's because of the irregularities and the misrepresentation and all that. So what's your reaction on all of that? And this is solely from your camp.
I've not heard the question.
Fraudulent elections.
Okay, I'm looking for, Bande, please. I'm looking for your reaction to the rerun of the parliamentary primary between Dr. Kabiru and Lariba Zura Abudu. And this is happening because of the irregularities that were found in that particular election.
Yes, the party was a party to the suit when the matter went to court. The party has made several attempts, including taking it out for arbitration. It has to go back to court. The court passed its judgment yesterday. As a proactive general secretary, he brought out the timelines because of the exigencies of time and the circumstances at this particular moment. Even though today we have a National Executive Committee meeting, I have been dispatched. I'm in Tamale now. I'm proceeding to Waliwali to make sure that the forms is available for all those who will be picking. The NPP is a national party. It's a party that believes in the rule of law. The court has spoken. And today, the National Executive next will meet to discuss the judgment of the court. And then we are abiding by the judgment. We are not going to discuss issues that emanated from the judgment. But we take the judgment and we are going to abide by and make sure that we run through this particular process.
Thank you, Haruna. Bande, it's your take now. Let's make it as brief as possible.
You know, the MPP has become a laughingstock, both in terms of credibility, in terms of competence and good faith. But I do say that, my sister, our call for a transparent election shows our commitment to save this country. And let me remind the MPP, we can also stage a rigging of election. We can do worse than they can do. But we don't want it because the outcome will not be a good one. And so let us all ensure that we help. It's clear that the Electoral Commission and its commissioners are incompetent. It's very clear. But beyond the incompetence, there are actors within the Electoral Commission who must be fished out because they are dangerous actors. See, the Electoral Commission must take responsibility of what even its temporal officers does. Temporal officers. And so they owe to themselves a duty to ensure scrutiny of the kind of people they employ to the commission. So if you go and take a returning officer who is an NDC person or who is an MPP person or exposed person, and the person does something wrong, you must take responsibility. They should not sit at headquarters and pretend not to know where their responsibility ends. So we are pleading. We will continue to make this plea. We are waiting for seat. We'll go and present further and better particular. But for the purposes of carrying the audience along, we are calling for the Electoral Commission to do good to Ghanaians by allowing for an audit. Because what we have right now is a manipulated document full of errors, errors that are not honest, errors that are fraudulent, deliberately orchestrated. Let us make sure we audit to have a clean process. 2, as it stands today, the Electoral Commission cannot hold a transparent and a credible election because each voters register is not transparent. And so we must get to a point where at least we go into an election where each party is clear in their mind that we are going into an election and not a rigged or flawed election. Because the NDC, and let me repeat, nobody will emerge as president or government in this country as a result of a rigged, compromised, or flawed electoral process.
And I'm saying that's why you have IPAC, you have these meetings,
the MPP
and then
is
you have
away.
These demands
the
that
MPP is
you are calling
non-negotiable. You just heard the unpreparedness of the MPP to join the communication.
Let's let it unfold, and then we probe as we go. Okay, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. Yes, Haruna, briefly, please. Yeah.
We have ever had a president by error in this country. In 2012, all the errors that emanated from the elections that we went to court.
We'll not have it again.
John Dramani Mahama as president.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
My brother, please.
That's
okay,
not true.
So
that is not
just like you said, you were not going to comment on an active investigation. That was also something that went to the court, and the judiciary decided.
That's not true. That's not true.
Haruna,
that's not true.
That is why That is why.
Monday, we didn't interrupt you. So let's.
But he's lying.
You've had your time.
President Akufo-Addo is a president who is in power right now.
Monday,
8 people have died.
If we don't listen to him, we won't get what he said.
Let him not lie. He's lying. You are lying.
Okay, please mute her. So let me go to Dr. John Osai-Kwapong.
How can you sit on Zoom and lie?
You have
a president that was elected through error.
While we have a president,
Monday, you're not being fair. You're not being fair. We listened to you and interrupted.
Well, how do you refer to a president
as
error president when we have one whose hands is soiled with blood? Innocent.
Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, I'll give you the final word.
Well, again, for me, it is really incumbent upon the EC to do everything in its power to ensure that nobody has reason to question whether it is ready to guarantee us a free and fair election. And so how it swiftly responds to issues, how it responds to the concerns raised by the political parties, whether it's the MPP, whether it's the NDC, I hope everything is hashed out to everyone's satisfaction, because at the end of the day, that is what we all want, a free and fair and credible election.
Right. Doc, let's pivot to corruption. We are done with the Electoral Commission. Let's talk about corruption. And let's take these bites from the Scarface corruption, and then we'll discuss.
It's fine for a political party to say they want to break the 8. But we are saying, why don't you break the stealing and stop the looting? You want to break the 8, yes, fine. It's a good ambition to have from a political party point of view. But break the stealing and stop the looting. Break the stealing and stop the looting.
There are a lot of evil going on. And if they cannot speak, then who are they for? Are they for the church or they are for government? Are they for the people or they are for evil? So that's the point I am making, that I think their voice go very far. There are a lot of Catholics in this country. There are a lot of Catholics, Christians in this country. If the Christian Council, the Bishops' Conference, and all those religious bodies, including those of Muslim and Islam, they will all speak as they were speaking in the past, I think we may be moving towards peace.
The Anti-Corruption Conference also featured a panel discussion where experts stressed the urgent need for a direct and relentless fight against the growing corruption menace in the country. For Joy News, Carlos Galoni, Accra.
So there you have it. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. Domilovo is of the view that we are losing the fight against corruption because some of the leaders, Christian leaders, like the Catholic bishop leaders, who used to be very vocal about corruption and corruption-related activities in the past, have become silent. What do you make of it?
I mean, yes, again, if you look at the most recent Afrobarometer, the perceptions of corruption growing among institutions. Even when you ask about the level of corruption, quite a number of people say that they perceive that the level of corruption has increased. As to whether because religious bodies, for example, in his opinion, are not being as vocal as possible, is what is continuing to fuel it. I'm not sure that alone is what would make the difference. But yes, it shouldn't even be just up to everybody should be a moral crusader against corruption, right? It shouldn't be up to these it shouldn't be up to these religious bodies alone to speak up against it. I think it's the responsibility of every citizen who cares about the country to be a moral crusader against corruption. So I won't necessarily pin it on them, but to say that yes, the fight has to continue. It has to be relentless. We have quite a number of laws on the books. We've tried different things. And so sometimes when you look at the data coming in and you hear of some of these alleged stories, you end up asking yourself what more is left to be done to be able to, effectively deal with one of the challenges to our governance architecture. But I won't pin it on the lack of voicing out among religious bodies.
But do you agree that they could be speaking up more than they're doing now, or than we are experiencing in this season?
Well, I mean, how a citizen or how a body or how an organization uses their voice in our democratic spaces is up to them. So whether they choose to activate their voice or not is their sole prerogative. It's not up to me to say that someone should activate their voice in our democracy. It's a choice they have whether they want to speak up or not. Yes, we can expect that I wish person A or body B would speak up on some of these governance issues, but whatever reason, it's always an individual choice or it's an organizational choice to decide how they want to use their voice in a democracy.
Doug, I mean, in your opinion, would you say that in this administration, the past 8 years, in the fight against corruption has actually been lost? Would you say that, in your opinion? And if not, how would you rate the fight?
So I do agree, and I've mentioned the findings of Afrobarometer, that yes, the perceptions of the fight or how the government's efforts to fight corruption has been rated very low. And part of that is also, in my opinion, a position that the president has taken that I understand, but I think is what has also hurt him in terms of public perceptions. And if you give me just 30 seconds to reiterate that point. The president often says that not until you are in trouble, you would never appreciate due process, the importance of due process. And so there is a highly legalistic standard that he sets to deal with issues of alleged corruption. And I can understand that, right? Due process is important. If I accuse you of something, I want to make sure that you have right to counsel, all of those things. I have to presume you innocent, etc., etc. But there's a political dimension to corruption. And I think when you prioritize the legalistic side of it over the political side of it, which is things like condemnation, even asking people to step aside, not because you are pronouncing them guilty, but at least you want to make sure that it doesn't cast any negative images on your administration. I think that is what that strictly legalistic approach, in my opinion, is what has hurt the president's standing on the fight against corruption.
So, I mean, some would argue that that intersection between the due process and political influence is what's really accounting for the decline in the fight, because the people who are supposed to be held accountable or be punished, I mean, going through those due process, they have enough power to influence these processes, obstruct evidence, and frustrate the entire process. So is that what's really happening right now?
But at the same time, too, I don't know if I would describe it as obstructing the process, right? But it's also part of, if I'm accused of something, I'm also allowed to fight it for as long as I can, to as many places as I can, right? So if a decision goes against me, I have every right to appeal it and keep appealing till some final determinations are made. But again, for me, I think what has hit the president in terms of his standing and the public perceptions is that there are times where you have to exercise your political muscle to deal with some of these things. So one clear example, the case of the allegations against Mr. Charles Eduboahene, for example, right? The immediate call that's, said, look, if you're peddling these things about the sitting vice president, he must be, asked to resign or etc., etc. And the swiftness with which he was made to leave office. If there had been a number of instances like that, I think it would have balanced nicely the political way of dealing with alleged cases of corruption and the legalistic standard that the president has set. And I don't think it would have hurt him in the standing of the public like the way we are seeing now when you look at, I mean, as of the most recent Apple barometer, only 14% rate the fight against corruption very well, which is quite unfortunate and disappointing.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. Do we still have Haruna with us?
Yes.
Haruna, what do you make of these assertions and posturing that we are losing the fight against corruption and the Christian leaders aren't speaking up as much as they were in the past, and that's why we are not winning the fight against corruption?
There has always been a process to fighting corruption, and this government has demonstrated a lot of courage in terms of funding to anti-corruption institutions, bringing up institutions that will help to curb corruption, the introduction of the digital platforms to take off the hands of human beings in terms of dealing directly on matters of corruption. I think that it's a worry for all of us. Corruption has been a phenomenon everybody has been fighting with. And I'm very happy that we have a candidate in Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, who throughout his interactions, nobody could point to him and then tell him that this is a corruption-related matter that you have either engaged yourself or acted in a manner that will lead up to making sure that the nation's the peg is being misused. So it's a laudable call that we are getting from the civil society, and I believe that Domlevo can attest to the fact that the resources that was given to his institution when he was there, the setting up of the special prosecutor office, and then other anti-corruption bodies and the funding that we have given to them. So I think that it is something all of us has to look at, unlike what we have in our within our counterparts. If you look at Mr. John Dramani Mahama, even as vice president, the issues of the embryo that was hanging on him, the issues of his own investigation by the president then, he himself now being acclaimed as a government official one in the international cycles. We know the issues of the Amajaro. We know so many other issues relative to Coco and what have you, where he has directly engaged himself, where he takes transactions by himself and he deals with them. So
Points made.
I believe that all of us collectively have to look at it. And then I think that corruption is something that we have to continue to fight. We cannot say that we can eradicate corruption completely, but we can fight it with a mindset of people who are old, who have not engaged themselves in this act. And I believe that Dr. Bawumia stands the opportunity to be able to
you keep singling out the vice president, Haruna.
He will never be corrupt.
Haruna, you singled out the vice president. You say he's incorruptible, he's never been corrupt, he will never be corrupt. And he's part of this current, that's fine, he's part of this current administration. How would you, and then let me reference that Afrobarometer report that Dr. John Osai-Kwapon also just referenced on how majority of the people think that the country is going in the wrong direction and all that. How would you rate this current administration's performance in terms of the fight against corruption on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you rate your own administration in terms of the fight against corruption?
On the scale of 1 to 10, I can rate this government 8. Because we have done a number of things. We have demonstrated that this government will fight corruption. You know, corruption also relates to the mindset, the attitudinal behavior of people. And whenever corruption is said, people only point to politicians. The civil servants do worse things in terms of corruption-related matters because most of those particular issues are engineered even from the office before it gets to the politician. So I think that we have to all collectively fight this particular canker. And I believe that the NPP has done a lot in terms of fighting corruption.
Thank you so much. That was Haruna Mohammed, the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. And we also spoke to Dr. John Osai-Kwapon from the Center for Democratic Development, as well as Mustafa Bande, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. And that's how we're wrapping up. Thank you all so much, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation. And Right before I go, let's go off the overpriced land, home ownership and furnishing deals. Get the best deals for all your housing needs at one place. I'm talking about the EcoBank Joy News mini fair. That is the Habitat Fair, the mini fair at the Good Park near Accra Mall from the 13th of September to 15th September 2024. And the fair is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily, and admission is absolutely free. Be there to engage with various stakeholders in the housing value chain for your home ownership needs. This is the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Get a house, make it a home. And the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the Planned City Extension Project from cities to habitats, rent, own, and sponsored by Elegant Homes, where quality meets value, safety, and home solutions. You think of a door, we have it. There's still a lot coming your way on the AM show. There's that story from Ajen Kotuku and many more. You want to stay with us for that. Welcome back. Let's talk about the Africa Center for Entrepreneurship and Youth Empowerment, ASEE, making a strong case for government to cut by half the tax burden on small-scale and medium enterprises. And in its latest Entrepreneurship Freedom Index, the center carried out a region-by-region assessment of challenges entrepreneurs face across the country as they make some recommendations to tackle the emerging challenges. In the studio with me to discuss this is Mr. Emmanuel Akwa, and he's CEO of the African Center for Entrepreneurship and Youth Empowerment, ASEE. Mr. Akwa, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. So let's talk about this report. But first, give me a little brief on ASEE. What do you really do? Put it all in perspective. What is the African Center for Entrepreneurship and Youth Empowerment all about? It's a think tank, I believe.
Yes, please. So ASEE is a policy think tank based in Accra. Primarily, what we do is that we influence government's policies on the back of research, and at the core of this is also to promote a free market concept or ideology. If you look at our constitution, the preamble of our constitution talks about government's basic rule of safeguarding our liberties. So that's what I mean, when we decided to set up ASEE, that's what we decided to do. The story of ASEE actually stems from having worked with a number of entrepreneurs through state and private mechanism. We realized that most of the businesses were actually not doing very well because of government's unfavorable or the unfavorable policies surrounding businesses in the country. And at the center of this, you have young people adversely impacted by these policy interventions. We decided to do something that would help entrepreneurs and at the same time also have a ripple effect on young people. So that's how come we decided to set up ASEE.
Okay. Yeah. And you've done some region-by-region assessment, and that's, all encapsulated in this report. And so really, what does the report generally say about the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the country? Okay,
thank you very much. So the Regional Entrepreneurship Freedom Index is an in-country study of all the 16 regions in Ghana, according to a set of indices inhibiting entrepreneurial freedom. And we offer recommendations to improve the list region scores. So since January, we've actually been, gathering data from entrepreneurs across all the 16 regions. And I personally have had to travel across all the 16 regions, sometimes just to validate some of the things happening on the ground. That's not the first time you're actually having these reports. The maiden edition was in 2021. So this is the second time we are having it.
You said you wanted to validate some of the things you find on the ground. What's the highlight of it? What have you been finding? What does this report, this second edition, what does it really tell about the environment, the entrepreneurial environment of the country as we speak, based on your findings?
Okay, so two things here. It actually confirms what multiple indexes globally have had to say about our economic situation as a country. So for example, if you pick Heritage Foundation's Index of Economic Freedom, it ranks Ghana as 104 out of 184 countries. So clearly, you realize that we are not doing so well when it comes to economic freedom. And again, it also talks about, I mean, it confirms the widespread agitation and poverty level in the country. Entrepreneurs are really, really suffering. The tax burden is super crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's about
across
taxes,
across all the 16 regions, talk to entrepreneurs, and the taxes, I mean, it's too much for them. There is also issues surrounding bureaucracy, and of course, even trying to get this regulatory license and all that. It's also very, very bureaucratic. And aside the bureaucracy, it also comes with some form of extortion and the level of corruption associated with all these.
So there's corruption, there's tax, the burden of taxes and all that. So what are some of the recommendations that you're asking the government to take note of now as we speak? I know there's some tax incentive that you're proposing. Tell us about the recommendations from this report. Okay.
So before I talk about the recommendations, let's look at, I mean, how the regions fared. Okay. So apart from Savannah region, we have 5 different categories. You have the free, mostly free, moderately free, down to the repressed category. It's just the Savannah region that actually fell the moderately free, and that's the middle. And you have about six regions after the Savannah region, and 9 of the regions actually in the repressed category. So it means that if we really want to do well, then we have to help improve the least region scores. Now, what are the problems that are associated with the regions that scored very low? So those are, I mean, our recommendations are actually based on those findings. So the tax...
Are they different from the broader ones that you mentioned, like the tax burdens, the corruption, and the bureaucracy and all that? You're saying that each region has peculiar issues that is affecting the entrepreneurial endeavors of people. Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so you are right to say each region actually has its own recommendations. And we also have the national one. So the various regions, the recommendations that we have for the various regions is what we've been able to, you know, there are some of the things you can't, or some of the changes, you can't have them at the regional level. So for example, if you're asking for issuance of certificates or specific things to be done to that, you can't have the regional bodies of the Office of the Registrar Companies to do that. You can only have that implemented at the national level. So that's how come we have the national recommendations and then we have the regional recommendations. So at the national level, one of the things you realize is that as a startup, if I have to start my business, or as an entrepreneur, if I have to start my business, you have to go to the Office of the Registrar of Companies to get the certificates. There are other licenses that you need to acquire. And all that we are saying is, look, instead of all these licenses, and of course, even if you have to get a tax holiday, that would also have to come with like another process that you have to go through. Why don't we, I mean, make it very, very simple, streamline the process, so that once there is the issuance of the business certificates, automatically, these tax holidays come along with it. Mm-hmm. Instead of, I mean, having duplicates of institutions, and you don't really know what the institutions are doing. These institutions are supposed to serve as enablers, but unfortunately, they have rather become an impediment to entrepreneurial growth.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
And that's on the national level?
On the national level.
I'm curious to know what the regional breakdown really is.
Sure.
You mentioned that apart from the Savannah, that was like, what was the word you used? Moderately free. The others are really all the way down. They're really struggling. Yeah. So just shed some light on the breakdown, region by region, if we can do that.
Okay.
Or we have to refer to the report.
We have to refer to the report.
Do that. Okay.
But I can share some interesting findings with you as well.
Yes, please.
So, for example, if you look at Savannah region, Savannah, I mean, scored the highest. The lowest, which is Upper East, they all share borders with our neighboring countries. Savannah to the left, and then to the Upper East to the right. But I would interest you to know that Savannah region performed very, very well when it comes to trade freedom. And trade freedom is the reason why Eastern region actually lost its spots. Remember I said we had done this before, that was in 2021. And Eastern region couldn't, I mean, secure the first position, partly because it didn't do well when it comes to trade freedom. And trade freedom, you are looking at how easy it is to import and export. I mean,
right
here in Ghana and then outside, you know. So it's, I mean, there are some interesting dynamics to the reports.
Okay. So, I mean, key amongst your recommendations from the the summary of the reports that I've seen, you're asking that some SME taxes be cut by half. And you also touch a bit on the Ghana Revenue Authority. What reforms, really, are you looking to see in that regard?
Okay, aside being an entrepreneur, one way or the other, we are all affected by taxes, whether directly or indirectly. So, for us, what we are looking at achieving be that government should cut down on, I mean, taxes for SMEs. Because, I mean, it's very difficult. The first 5 years is a survival stage. So if at a survival stage, and I mean, there is that notion that we're entrepreneurs, once you're an entrepreneur, you have lots of money. And institutions are overly extractive. You're not thinking about, okay, what can we do to help the entrepreneurs actually grow? I'm waiting for a day where we would have institutions that will say, look, we have been taking, for example, GRA, we have been taking taxes for you for some time now. Now we want to have a dialogue with you. Let's see how these taxes actually impact your businesses adversely and what we can do. Once we get to that point, I think the society that we are building is just, I mean, having overly extractive institutions.
I mean,
and feeding
something
a big
you said that caught
government.
my eye. You said 5 years is survival. That's half a decade. And most SMEs don't make it to the 5.
Exactly. And these are some of the factors as to why they don't make it to the 5 years. And we are complaining about unemployment. You want to address these issues. Now, if you want to, the same people you want to help are complaining about a tax burden. Why don't you, I mean, stay back? And let me also share something with you, and of course, our viewers as well. Most of the businesses, so the vice president made, I think, prior to they winning the election, he said they were going to move the economy from taxation to production. As part of our findings, we realized that most of the entrepreneurs or businesses are moving away from production to merchandising. Partly because it's very, very difficult to produce here.
Yeah.
So they would rather resort to merchandising rather than producing.
What's the difference? What's the difference between producing and merchandising for clarity for our audience?
So producing, you are combining the factors of production.
Right here.
Right here. Merchandising, basically you buy and you sell, just like commerce. So it's very easy for them to do that. Because
so you import diapers from somewhere in China, you rebrand it as something with your name, and then you sell here in Ghana.
Exactly.
So that's merchandising. And that's and producing would have been to get all the raw materials here and produce it yourself here in the country. Okay.
Stated differently, you can also look at, economics, somehow agrarian. So you can also look at the farmers. I mean, those who, cultivate all those things. I mean, one way or the other, that's also another form of production, if you like.
Mr. Emmanuel Akwa, what will be your final word to our audience?
My final words to your audience, and of course to the policymakers, would be that entrepreneurs are really suffering, as confirmed by multiple indexes globally. And this is the time for us to pay attention to real economic reforms or entrepreneurial reforms, such that, we shouldn't come back talking about the issues of unemployment and underemployment next year by this time. There's an election year. Let's take advantage of the report that we have and make the best out of it.
Thank you so much. Emmanuel Akwa is CEO of African Center for Entrepreneurship and Youth Empowerment. It's a policy think tank. They're hoping to influence government policies for the benefits of us all as citizens. Thank you so much for this report and for spending the time to shed more light on some of the findings and recommendations.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay. Still to come, today we'll take you to Ajen Kotoku, where 3 years on, after being relocated from the old Agbogloshi onion markets, these onion sellers continue to face significant challenges, making them worse off than before. Here are the stories coming out from Ajen Kotoku. years ago, the government moved onion sellers from the old Agbogloshi onion market to here at Ajen Kotoku. We brought you that special feature, Agbogloshi Still a Scrapyard, an assessment of the land and the lives displaced after that much publicized demolition exercise. And today we are here at Ajen Kotoku to understand how these onion sellers who've been moved here are faring. And here too, there are issues, but let's hear the stories from the traders themselves. Welcome to Ajen Kotoku. The onion market here at Ajen Kotoku is a lively hive of activity as trucks unload sackloads of onions to be distributed to intermediaries, wholesalers and retailers. But in the midst of the hustle and the bustle, stories unfold. First, I spoke with Alhaji Masawudu, the chairman of the Onion Sellers Association at Ajen Kotoku. He expressed that while the new location is manageable, there are 3 critical challenges hindering their progress here.
Because of the nature of everything, we have sanitation problem, we have bad road, and then the patronage. That's the 3 main issue. I mean, when we are talking about the road, it's a big problem, a big issue. We have from the main road, they are doing the road. And if you reach mid-year, from mid-year to Ajen Kotoku, that's the worst problem. And if you reach from 3 Junction to Ajen Kotoku, that's the worst problem. And then right now, all the trucks pass through mid-year to this place. Some of the truck got spoiled through the mid-year road to Ajen Kotoku. We often go and find a towing car from police. Yeah, to tow this truck to here. Because if they are passing, you will see the shafts and then the springs, and then every time you pass there, you will see a broken car on the road. Apart from that, the small trucks, they load from here to Accra to everywhere, you know. Because this is the wholesale center. So all the trucks are not feeling well. Today you see truck today, tomorrow you won't see it again. There is sometimes you see these small trucks. One day you see there is no truck. If the women come and buy, they don't have a car to take them to their destination. That's the main problem we have right now. They always increase the charges. Right now, if you see, we have plenty trucks, big trucks here. Yesterday, we have like 3 trucks. Instead of, we will have 8 trucks yesterday. All of them spoil on the road. All of them? All of them spoil on the road. So we have 3 trucks. So the remaining will bind with today's one, and then they will come. You see the patronage will come down. Okay, let's put a number to it. So on the average, when they bring in the trucks like this, how much does it cost? The price of the onion, it costs like 10,000 CFA. In cedis is 250 Ghana cedis per 1 bag. So 300 bags or 250 bags, you see 10,000 times 300 bags. You're saying that depending on the number of bags that each truck has, that's the price you have to pay? Yes. That's the price you have to pay if you go and charge the car and take the car. And because of the bad roads, they are forced to increase their charges now? From the beginning, it's 5,000 CFA, 6,000 CFA, but right now it's 10,000 CFA. 10,000, if you convert it to Ghana cedis, is too high. You see, but because of the nature of the road, sometimes they collected 11,000 CFA instead of 10,000. You also spoke about patronage. What is the issue really about the patronage? The patronage is simply because of the bad road. People are coming, but if you come here today, you won't come tomorrow. Just how the car will shake you and then everything, and then the trucks too. If they come today, they won't come tomorrow. So maybe those from Takoradi, Cape Coast, Ho, and then the things, they normally send the truck they will give him money to come and offload, or they will gather themselves. One day they will come. If they come within a week, they won't come again. Here we are not working a week working. We are working every day. But right now, all of them take a break. This one will come Monday, this one will come Tuesday, this one will come Wednesday, because of the route. But I want the authorities who brought us here to come to our aid. We don't have shares here as we are working. And then the sanitation too, maybe the Zoom Lion are not there. But we are working. It's only this thing, only one dustbin, that what we call it, Zoom Lion, only one this thing, only one that we have here. Only one, instead of 3, we have only one. From this big market, we have only one. They usually come within a week or 2 weeks. So the sanitation too is a problem.
These concerns echo the sentiment of Salifu, who cited similar reasons for his return back to Agbogboshi.
Sisiano, I didn't know Mompamu Yahono. No Musio Muhia assassin, Mundu Bayadi. Into your mama place or Ajokutoku. Yanya sometime be and a kosher or no see only a kama. And I in a call. But I didn't see I saw a bedginas, a bestia. On say, Obi or pay 10 city, and 5 city, and 20. On to me, Faka and Bajo Putoku, no better. It's a swear cow.
Yeah, Mojima Natana Oya or Hani said an affairs Oya or Honum, no difference.
The issues there at Ajin Kutuku are the reason I have returned. There are people who just want to buy 10 cities or 5 cities worth of onions. They cannot travel all the way to Ajin Kutuku for that. Same as if you are selling onions at different places in town. People will only go to the nearest available spot. Compared to when we were here, it was the go-to place for everyone in Accra to get affordable onions. The sad part is that the land is lying waste. There is nothing happening there. They could have at least waited till they were ready to use the place. Now, we are only surviving.
Onion market. I'm
asking you, how do you feel? So I asked Alhaji how the sellers feel about the relocation from Agbogboshi to Ajin Kutuku.
We don't understand why they relocated from Agbogboshi to this place. We don't understand. If you want the land or if you want something, you have to relocate a person to another place. You have to make use of that place. Right now, we know that government is doing something because the place will be used to something else, which will benefit all the Ghanaians. I stay at Zongo. I stay at Abusonka Zongo. I'm almost there. So every time I will pass by to see what is going on over there, so that I can make my story very good. That's why I said, if you relocate a person, you have to make use of the land. So we don't know why they relocate us. From the beginning, they said it's a traffic congestion. And then we are not the people who bring traffic. There's yam sellers over there. And you said we are the first person, and then the yam and the tomato sellers will be second. But right now, we have been relocated to Ajin Kutuku. We have a land for yam sellers and the tomato sellers. They are not in up to now. It's 3 years, they are not in, and they will not come. Because they have people in the government who talk to the government to leave them there. I don't understand. But if you know our petrol will be high, then the onion is working with the tomatoes, is working with the yam. And then if a person is going to buy tomatoes, he will come to Ajin Kutuku to buy tomatoes and then buy onion and then buy yam. But right now, it's only the onion sellers are here. And then we are surviving, small.
You think the government was fair to you?
It's not fair. It's not fair. Because we said this is the first person who is going. And we, as a law-abiding citizen, we understand. And then we came here. 3 years now, we are waiting to see our colleagues are here. They are not here up to now. Since they are not here, I won't tell you that they are fair to me. They are not fair.
Indeed, it seems the onion sellers are the only group to fully settle in the promised land of Ajin Kotoku. But what about the others? The tomato and yam sellers who were also supposed to relocate. Why haven't they followed suit? Meet Forgive, Dinah, and Mercy, 3 onion sellers from Dodowa and Adam who regularly buy sacks of onions at wholesale prices here and retail them in their communities. Their experiences as regular buyers at Ajin Kotoku are a mixed bag.
If you see challenges, baby, Lord, if you're not costro, Nyamanusu every day no more to so. Baby, I do say, Sunyamana dada, Upto Korea na poto, Ubetonsu and Rusikano. Amaya Huchri and Tejumana I carry forward. A Jumana ye, brilliant immediate and Manumpu. Yes, now by no mumboye. Because Quino so and yet, cast no dark car, baby brain, the almost say better swam. Seka short tipe. No ma increases can.
Inti ofo say agbogloshi market na ye passing a hade na.
Patron na ye passing ha. Esan say na Kasoa de na hade ni na bom. Inti cars need to me do.
I think the market at Agbogloshi was far better than here because it was a more centralized place for onions. That means more trucks, more onions at relatively lower prices.
Nyamane ma bebre say kwan na tractors nim to me fa so na na say didn't no emma bebre
kwan no so ka ho na nyama no so boaye den nti nipa no ko no hwe na oto bebre na obeboka oto kakra bia na odi aba.
Now it is more like survival of the fittest, so we are the ones suffering. We are only appealing that the roads be fixed because it will fix most of our problems.
Inti ye fa numbers into home. First no anka Agbogloshi ubeto a bag back saying and as sisia no ubeto ne saying and how many times yanka ne say year we nkwa e no mo tum e wa ha
make I say 2 years ni first Agbogloshi ye to me kofa bottle back 3 million yes. At
Agbogloshi, we could get a bag of onions for 300 cedis because it was more centralized. But because of the roads and the resultant increment here, we get a bag of onions for 1,500 cedis.
From 300 cedis to 1,500 cedis?
Yeah, 1,700, 1,800, 1,000 now.
This is marvelous. And until Bunya saying on let you find this autumn bag back our ton 1,500 cedis no Ubenya saying
say Juma no who profit because e bi wa kakese e ube pay ketu aka into who profit who ye who profit no because enti means san crown san na be tobi nti ade na ye ti say ye balance nti enim profit ye.
So let me just do a quick translation. They're basically saying that the roads are bad. The prices of the bulk purchase has been increased exorbitantly. At first, they used to buy a bag of onion for 300 cedis, and now they're buying it for as much as 1,500 cedis. And even with that, at that price, they're unable to make profits because you cannot wait for it to be exhausted before you come back here. And when they come here too, the prices are increased without any notice. And the reason, like the chairman told us, is that when we have more trucks coming in, then they can have the prices reducing a bit. But when there are less trucks here, the prices go up.
Beside the end day, Omubeya Quine and my Omuya Quine, almost Omubetimi Abba Bebre. And as the Sians say, be on Betimi Abba in some way. Maybe I have more onions, no so bad boy. And now, near Patan, so Miss Wadiba Quine, Hammy Pan, is your toa, and Yakra, a Patania, Bugapatanusa, and Suamokra, into here more tents, what I say.
A banum boye. Then you young man was young and America can a Jenny for one would drag Jenny's own woman coin. Because Jenny needed a baby bria, price no ye. A short tip no more increased prices. First, no say Jenny back, I bet matter Jenny to set 1,500. But I feel with Jenny bar less cry 800, 700. 800, 700. They say I thought Jenny 1917. What no unya sikan, ukanu baku and lose can but I say you juma. At the end of the year, now adika.
These issues raised bring up pressing questions. Did the government factor in the road network when planning the relocation? Has the government checked on them since the move in July 2021? So we've heard from the chairman of the Onion Sellers Association, we've heard from the onion sellers, we've heard from traders from various cities who've come here to buy onions so they can resell in their various cities. Now let's hear from the drivers, the very pivotal role in this whole value chain, the people who transport the onions to and from here at Ajenkotoku.
You do a black. Say, we will do near my free ha. But to my view, from what funny my crowd, the Kotapan. From a hakwa to Tapananya, but a hackwain, but to me crossway to Trade Junction, a one yet. Who put me off a habit to be ye, say, men would no crown or ye, and the who's or ye, a banner than us. But the answer from Johnson from mid-year to 100 year, but who will do a free ha? But to my 2 mid-year Johnson, mammy. We are off of spring bear 4 and then to spring into Minto. Spring in the boy, so I a ding. You can't spring in it and any ties. Your ties is to who has your castle living in Sissy Wono. Ubeludu. Acha 1 week at Okoto tie, 1 to tie better spring.
Well, say every week be a joe to tie.
Yeah. So, whining yet. And I didn't know the ban. Cago no more buy. Who want me to almost back from to Miss Senior, so I'm afraid near what we be near Sanya market.
Loading things from here to Takwa and other places is such a terrible experience. The potholes are death traps, especially from Media to this place. If you are not lucky, you will need to repair 4 springs by the end of the journey. Meanwhile, spare parts are so expensive. By the end of the week, you are either buying a tire or spring. Sometimes when the cargo trucks break down, we have to go and bring in the goods.
It's a moment to profit there.
Profit there, Kaura there, before to see Benya. But who they can carry between the no year no man with the bidding and I ask them. What to me soon cast a better fee. In saying that you're calling into Woma, a bit of myself, Comadina, Corbett me across Sama, but I said one in to go back 1 day.
It is very difficult to make ends meet. It is so discouraging to leave home to work. We are not complaining about the move, but it doesn't look like the roads were thought through at all. We beg they should come to our aid.
But yes,
Traders are barely making profits due to inflation, cedi depreciation, and the resultant hike in food prices. And this makes it even more painful when you find some rotten onions in your sack.
Yewo agbogloshi no Jenny present cost sa say cost na te say ebi na eni ho na price na cost but ye ba ha ana omo increase price no wo ba fa nyama na nyama wo batumi afa no utumi fa badu drivers no omo lorry fare wo batamu free hard yakọ uni dabre wo be di atamu
na o se ni asai no e ho no na me pesa
di asai susu a di omu to kenke di omu to mo di omu to wonche di omu ye shito on baba beto but ahanu obi ani obeto na ya jasi ho.
When we went in Abugosi, the prices were bearable. These days, we do not even know what we are working for. In Abugosi, we had food sellers who would buy the rotten onion for shito and other purposes.
Lucky gate, ana akra na lucky honu. Udu ho na adiasango. Oti ye broha.
King Goza is one of the traders here who just came to buy some onions, and I want to let him walk us through his goods and how much he bought them and what challenges he also faces. How much did you buy this?
This is 1,600.
1,600 cedis.
Please, 1,600.
In this?
And this is for one person.
Okay.
So he give it to you at one price.
So one bag like this is 1,600. So these 3 bags, 4,800 cedis for these 3. And when you finish selling this, how much profits do you think you will make?
For now, we are not talking about profits. When you talk about profits, you lose your customers. So you just have patience with customers, you maintain them. By the end of the day, you get your top money.
Kingoza, are you saying that when you sell these onions, you won't make any profit?
You can't even get 200 cedis. You can't even get 100 cedis. See the bag, very small.
Do you think that, were you coming to Agbogloshi when the onion sellers were there? What's the difference between then and here?
Oh, for us, for me right now, I saw at Kanishi Market. So when they are at Agbogloshi, we don't benefit very well. So when they are here, Alhamdulillah, we are okay with. But only it's about the road. The road is not good. As for me, I used to come every week, every Tuesdays. I can't, as at now, I'm supposed to work, but I'm here. You see, I don't have boy too, because of how much will I give for the day, and I will give my boy something.
How much will it cost you to transport these back to Kanishi?
Oh, the transport is 25 cedis, and those who will help us put it in the car, they take 7 cedis.
So that's about 30 cedis for each bag, so 90 cedis to transport it back to Kanishi.
It's not many, you pay more than that, because you can't take 5 bags and giving him 90 something. If it is 5 bags, you can give him 200 cedis.
Kingoza, thank you so much for also adding your voice to the matter, and I wish you the very best.
So I'm going to be able to go back. And say no be best because as I said, so man fan nya bibia and that ho and I brewa han so there and there is better say be koyechi and na akotwa
because I go wish no ko ha ufa ka ba ko say be fa drop you probably me akos great on charge you bebre but ha no fa drop you na o be kire be fa ka ti say for price na o be dru ha wo te ma expenses na ye bebre e wo adwuma no nti ye pa agbogboshi.
The relocation from Agbogloshi to Ajenkotoku was supposed to usher in a new era for the onion sellers, but the reality is far from perfect. As these sellers grapple with bad roads, dwindling customers, and logistical nightmares, the overarching factor of food inflation cannot be overemphasized. But what does the future hold for Ajenkotoku and its traders? Only time will tell if this promised land will fulfill its promise. Sweetie Abochi's report for Joy News.
We're bringing you another story, but I just want to spend a minute or two and just elaborate more on that story from Ajenkotoku. I mean, it's sad to hear that after 3 years of relocating these onion sellers from Agbogloshi to Ajenkotoku, the picture is painted as if the road was not considered in the planning of this relocation. And myself and the entire team that went there to interact with these traders, we suffered the bad road. When I came back, I think my waist ached for a day or two. And so the question really is, what was the plan there? And the authorities who are watching this and listening to us, I mean, come to the aid of these people. These tractors or these tipper trucks, when they break down and there are not enough trucks at the market, they increase the prices of the onions. And this also ricochets into what these traders will get. And it's so sad hearing their stories. So please, those in charge, fix the roads for them. And I mean, they say the place is manageable, okay? So they're not complaining. But if the number one reason why, or the number one hindrance to the success of their trade there at Ajenkotoku is the road, and you abandon it to them like that, they'll be forced to move back, like the other guy, Salifu, who moved back to Agbogloshi because he couldn't bear it. Anyway, so now it's been a year since the devastating floods ravaged communities along the Wager catchment area, leaving residents in turmoil. And despite the destruction, many remain in the buffer zones, their homes still standing in the floodplain. In this Joy News Floods of Trauma series, Emmanuel Jivenu went back to the community and reports.
Last year's flood was a disaster that submerged hundreds of houses, leaving many displaced and livelihoods destroyed. Wisdom Obeng, a taxi driver, and his family were among those affected. The water damaged his taxi, his only source of income.
My taxi, we had to take houses small. The water enter inside, spoil everything. It enter inside, the water enter inside, control board, everything. It's spoiled. That's why you open and come out the things where then check in and they say the control board spoil everything. So I for come out the tank, come out the fuel or come out the oil. But you see, right now all the incidents come now. Picking 2 days inside, four children, so things had small, so I'm not free. Do them right now where I leave them small.
Now, with the rainy season already upon them, Wisdom and his neighbors remain on edge.
Only God. Only God. But me, I thank God, say, I feel safe. My wife and my pickings for children. And some people's fathers and my mothers were everybody not die. But our things were spoiled.
For Wisdom and others like Alberta, who nearly lost her husband to the flood waters, the trauma of last year's pillage lingers.
Yeah, poultry farm. Nkuko ni bebreu. Miton koko beans atuko ni nyina say sugar. Fla ni nyina nane. Mi kunka oye ba fie 5 days. Engine no asay no romo abeto yen ndemu bibia say. Nsuo nu e ba fie. E na mi rush bae. Nti time me bae no. Ye oyare kakra. Ye be pagano no. Na nsuo na dru ye waste. Ye di ni be dru abonten ho. Na e wo me chest na me kura me nan ka fom.
Ta fufu yakura wa me fi. Nti mata bae na me de gidi fifi. Aye chan gba place no play viole. Ma bae chieji a. Fi ye kura high holiday to ma va yembe. Mata ya fi mo. Ta ma yo traffic a do bi no over 20 a. Ke ye ma na me 20 wa ke ma nya fufu ke ma bu. Ta ke mi le fi aziko pata mi le dogole ho me. Vinya to baba ti kura e. No po fi akwafi. Okay. Ya kota e do yin to ba ko ha ba tutu. Yunu bia be ya va time ba tutu gate gba kule. Flex antini anya popo bi ire.
We cannot stop spilling. We cannot. And nobody can blame Ghana Water Company because you are looking at a river. So you are looking at your stream flow. Then because you want a pond of water to do one project or the other hydro or waters to drink or irrigation, you put a wall across the river to create impoundment of the water. And the water is supposed to build some level because the wall does not have indefinite or infinite strength. If you go beyond that level, the dam is going to collapse. It's like you have a wall standing there. The pressure or the weakness is here, but the water is building up. If it gets to a particular level, what it does is to push it across.
The stark reality is that, despite the warnings, many residents remain reluctant to leave, clinging to the hope that this year will be different. Emmanuel Givanus reports, read to you.
Floods of trauma a year on. People have refused to leave those floodplains, and only God knows what their fate will be in the near future. But here are some important pieces of information you should take note of. Joy News and an amalgam of professional bodies is organizing a public speaking event on the theme, Transformed Individuals, Transforming the World, a challenge for the religious community in Ghana. The speakers are Dr. Philip Engman, Dr. Mrs. Yvonne Yenchua Eseku, Ambassador Umar Sanda Ahmed, and the main speaker of the day is Reverend Dr. Joseph Kofi Entry. The moderator is Philip Osebunsu, the host of Ekosi Sane on Asempa FM. And this is happening on the 17th of September 2024 at 6:30 p.m. sharp at the British Council Hall. So for more information, to reserve or just to get more clarity on the issue, please contact us on 0244-220-421. And this event is powered by Joy News and Joy FM. You want to stay with us for that. And hello, Ghana. Your favorite radio stations are back on TuneIn. Joy FM, Love FM, Adom FM, Asempa FM, and Insura FM. All your beloved multimedia group brands are now back on TuneIn. So wherever you are, we've got you covered. Yes, I'm talking about Joy FM, Love FM, Adom FM, Asempa FM, and Insura FM are all back on TuneIn. So tune in to the best of news, music, sports, and entertainment from Ghana's top stations. Anytime, anywhere on TuneIn. So go to the App Store or the Google Play Store to download TuneIn and listen to Joy FM, Love FM, Adom FM, Asempa FM, or Insura FM to stay connected and entertained. Now we've opened the phone lines for you to join the conversation. What's happening in your neighborhood? Any reactions or reflection on the conversations we've had so far? Call us on 030-221-1691. And I mean, I don't know how many of you have been to Kotoku. You can also call us and share your experiences with us. These onion sellers are trying to make do with what they were given. And, you know, I get a sense when I was out there on the field that they're not really complaining about the move. It looks like they've settled in okay now. It's been 3 years, so they're happy with what they've got. But the down part is that it looks as if they've been abandoned. And I wonder if any of these authorities have gone there to even take a look, say hello to them. It's been 3 years. How are you doing? What are your challenges? They don't even have seats and tents. And when we went there, it was drizzling. You could see that everybody was... the look of fear on their faces because there will be nowhere to hide, nowhere to take shelter if the rain just came down. Luckily, that day, it didn't rain. But some of the women who spoke to us tell us that that's the dilemma that they're faced with over there. No sanitation management equipment or facilities. They have one bin. The entire Kotoku market has one big Zoom Lion bin, and it's just not enough, you know. And the other part of the thing is that they are away from the main hub of the city. So unlike Agbogloshi, where when you find some rotten onions, you can sell it to wache sellers or, you know, some food vendors who buy, and I don't mean rotten onions so bad that you can't use them. Some of them is just the heat that's made it moist, you see. So they'll usually buy those to prepare shito and other things. But this is where we are. Let me speak to Edu Chum from the Eastern region. Edu Chum, welcome to the AM show. What's on your mind? Edu Chum, can you hear me? Welcome to the AM show. You're live. Talk to me.
Okay, thank you. Please, my name is Edu Chum, and I come from Saltpond.
Okay, what's on your mind? Have your say.
Okay, please, I have a small complaint. Please, we have a road leading from Assume, our road leading from Assume to Kedi. Please, this is very bad. When we try to walk on this road or use a vehicle on this road, please, we find it very, very difficult. So please, we are pleading with the government and those in charge to come and fix this road for us. They gave us the first quote, and now the quote has spoiled because of the number of vehicles passing on that road. It's a main road. And so the vehicles that are contained on that road, the road cannot withstand it. And therefore it has spoiled. So please, we are pleading that the government should come into our aid and come and fix it. This one, they can't even continue unless they spoil it and also regenerate it.
Right.
So please, we are pleading with the government to come into our aid.
Okay, we're just talking about roads. Thank you so much for calling. We're just talking about roads. This is Assume, and they're saying that the road is so bad that it inhibits their day-to-day activities. And I think it's a lot of places here in Accra, you know, especially the Wejagbawe thereabouts, even my neighborhood. I won't tell you where that is. But call us and let's hear your thoughts. And I was telling you about the Sergeant Kotoku and the sad situation that I met them in. But we have another caller. We have Raphael from Takrade. Raphael, good morning. You're live on the AM show. Have your say.
Okay. Good morning, madam.
Actually, I listened to the conversation you had. I listened to you concerning the conversation you had on the Ajay. You know, the traders and the chairman of the area, they are all complaining of the transportation. So it confuses me. Why can't the government use the military aircraft to transport the onion from Niger or whatever to the various locations? We have military base in Takoradi, Accra, Kumasi. So if the military aircraft is transporting the onion from Niger, it will flow the one that will be sell at the Kumasi, and then Accra and Takoradi. So the citizens may have, easy.
Raphael, I'm not sure if the government wants to use military aircraft to transport onions. It's a military aircraft for a reason. It's reserved for militia or military-related activities. So,
Madam, I understand, but sometimes you need to bend the rule for the citizens to enjoy. For the past 20 years, we've not even fought to Togo, Benin, or even Burkina Faso. So at the aircraft not certain either. So sometimes you need to bend the rule to make meaningful, to make the equipment useful for the citizens.
Okay, Raphael. Thank you so much for contributing. Raphael wants the military to airlift onions from Niger and the other places to Ajenkotoku. And it sounds like something that could be done easily, but this is a day-to-day activity. We have the onions, truckloads of onions coming into Ajenkotoku on a daily basis. The downside is that sometimes these trucks break down on the way, en route to Ajenkotoku, and then there's the increase in prices because the less trucks that arrive, the higher you get your sacks of onions. And then so maybe we can find a way. I think that the best solution really is to fix the road to Ajenkotoku, especially from Medie, after Pokwase Medie to the inside town of Ajenkotoku. It is terrible, I'm telling you. It is. Some of you use that road. You know what I'm talking about. It's so bad. And so it's the road that needs to be fixed, yeah? Right, you can still have your say. The numbers are on your screen, 030-221-1691. Also, what are your thoughts on the Electoral Commission's response to the demands of for opposition NDC? We have John on the line, though. John, good morning. You're live on the AM show. What's on your mind? Do I have John?
Good morning, madam. Good morning.
Have your say.
Thanks, sir. Okay, I've been talking about you were talking about the roadside measures. We are Bimbila. We get road from Bimbila to Zabzubu. That's linked to Togo. So there's some bridge. Last time they said they would do that bridge for that. Up to now, they never do anything on it. Because they are River Oti branch. They do other parts. When they reach there, they don't do anything again. So we are playing to them. If they do that road for that, we will thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Bimbila Town Road. There's no any correct road in Bimbila Town. The Bimbila Town, if you get motor, you can no drive again.
All right, John. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
All right. So you see, it's the same problem everywhere. We need roads. We need good roads to ply our trades and, carry on with our day-to-day lives. But that's how we are wrapping up for the AM show on Joy News, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. And I hope it's been worth waking up for. It's the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi. And from the entire AM team, we wish you a very lovely day. Coming up next is Joy News Desk with Faustina Safo. Have a best of the day. Mwah.